Colleagues, good afternoon. I to order the second plenary session of the fifth meeting of the Open-Ended Committee of Permanent Representative. As we all know, we had to have an adjournment of the plenary session yesterday as a result of the technical difficulties that we faced. I am very happy because I have been informed that these technical difficulties have been overcome, and therefore we are in a position to resume consideration of the agenda in the manner that we had agreed. Nevertheless, well, first I would like to apologize for the delay in reconvening this plenary session, but this is, of course, the result of the very productive and positive informal consultations that we've had until a few minutes ago. And I'm very happy to inform that we have made excellent progress, and I am quite confident that we will be able to conclude consideration of and adopt in plenary two of the draft decisions. But we will get to that in a moment. But simply to apologize to those that did not participate to these consultations and explain the reason why there was this small delay. Distinguished delegations, ladies and gentlemen, today we plan to have this plenary session take place in the next 3 hours with interpretation, and my aim is to conclude the following agenda items. First, we will continue with the general statements. Indeed, because of the technical hurdles that we faced yesterday, some delegations were not in a position to deliver statements and make comments in the first part of our meeting. So due to the very limited time that we have available, I would like to provide the opportunity to all speakers to address the OECPR in very short statements. Secondly, we will look into the also, I understand there was one delegation that requested for the floor on agenda item 2, and the floor will be given to that delegation to make any comments that it wishes in taking due respect to the proceedings. Following that, we will revert to our agenda, and we will then take it successively. The budget and program performance, including implementation of previously adopted assembly resolutions. We will hear the Deputy Executive Director on these important issues. And then we will move to agenda item 5, administrative and budgetary matters. Please note that delegations are not encouraged to repeat the general statements that were made during the contact group session. Again, there were delegations that made comments that the situation that we were yesterday was not ideal, but we have to move forward with the severe limitations that the virtual meetings oblige us to. So, of course, time will be allotted for statements under agenda item 5. Following that, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is a consideration of the process to agree on a contribution to the high-level political forum. And following that, we will hear an update from the co-facilitators on the consultations under General Assembly Resolution 73/333 that are undertaken in the context of the Committee of Permanent Representatives. Following this, we will move to concluding the consideration of the 3 decisions, which we have been working since yesterday tirelessly. Finally, we will have the pleasure to hear a briefing under agenda item 8 of the President of UNEA on his consultations on the message from online UNEA, on his proposal for a message on from online UNEA 5. We will then consider the way forward and how we are going to address, of course, the key outcome of this OACPR, which is the draft chair summary of the meeting together with the 3 draft decisions. We will, of course, have interpretation until approximately 7:45. So this is a very heavy agenda. I count on your full support and cooperation to ensure that we complete this challenging task and accomplish our ambitious goals in the next 3 hours. Let me stop here and then, as I indicated, open the floor for any general statements that member states and major group and stakeholders may wish to make. Again, our strong recommendation is that you use 1 minute for your statements. Please, the floor is open. Yes, I see Kenya. So, Kenya, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity. We wanted to speak very briefly, and Kenya, as the host government, to welcome all the delegates to Nairobi, albeit virtually, due to the challenges that we now face. And we are happy that we are showing resilience even in the face of all these challenges. And we thank all the delegates who have been patient to discuss that and even to move to, from platform to the other so that we can complete our agenda. Chair, DD, and all excellencies and colleagues, we align ourselves with the statement read by the African group yesterday, and we wish to say that we are taking the discussions in the MTS and the program of work and all the agenda items. And we have continued to follow and to discuss, to contribute even yesterday, because now that was, we've already done that since yesterday evening and even this afternoon. So we, Chair, we also want to welcome the decision on UNEP Part 50, or the discussions on UNEP Part 50, the commemoration, the kickstart of this meeting at this time, or this 5.1. And we see, as we said yesterday, we see complementarity in both the commemorations here in Nairobi and Sweden, and we would want to work collaboratively with all delegations to find that we find space for both commemorations without necessarily one suppressing the other. We are ready to engage on that to make key decisions. Chair, we welcome further work on marine litter, on the work that has been going on, for which we were the vice chair, and we look forward to working further in the intersessional period. We would also like to inform the delegates that Kenya and UNEP, together with other partners like Portugal and other countries, will have a virtual side event tomorrow, Wednesday, on 17th February, on oceans and SDGs, and it is at 5 p.m. to 6:30, and it has also just been recirculated again in the emails that have gone out this evening. We look forward to welcoming you to that side event and also to your participation in that. Chair, in the interest of time, I will stop there, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador McKenna. Speaking on behalf of the delegation of Kenya, our host country. Thank you for your intervention, and I must also apologize to our esteemed executive director. I have been talking to her in the last days almost constantly, so I did not recognize her. My apologies, Inge, and also to the deputy executive director who is just next to me, whom I did not recognize. So we are very grateful to have the both of you with us. And thank you, and through you to all your team and to the Secretariat for the extraordinary work that has been done and continues to be done as we move ahead in these very important and troubled times. So, colleagues, I would like to continue my list of speakers, and I see Venezuela requesting for the floor. Venezuela, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The interpreter apologizes the sound is not good enough for interpretation at the moment. The interpreter apologizes. The sound is not good enough for interpretation, Chair. The interpreter apologizes.
Distinguished delegate of Venezuela, distinguida delegada de los trabajos, particularmente para los países del sur global.
The interpreter apologizes. The interpretation quality is not good enough.
Sería usted tan amable de...
Distinguished delegate, would you be kind enough, please, to read your statement with more clarity, and perhaps can you turn on your video so that the interpreters can interpret your intervention into the official languages? Thank you very much.
Por favor, continúe, distinguida representante. Bienvenida.
Welcome, and please continue with your statement. The interpreter apologizes. The sound quality is not good enough for interpretation. The sound continues to break off. The interpreter apologizes.
Okay, I will go in English. Please continue. We apologize. The sound is very low, but continue, delegate. I was expressing the regards from Venezuela to the distinguished representative of UNEP, Excellencies, distinguished ambassadors, distinguished participants. Thank you for the opportunity to present this intervention in my national capacity. We want to start recognizing the challenges that the pandemic has imposed for the continuation of our work, particularly for the countries of the Global South. The widening of the gap of participation between the countries has become even more evident. From Venezuela, we are supporting the efforts made by the PNUD so that there can be a continuity of the work. Therefore, we aspire to maintain an agenda limited to fundamental procedural aspects to avoid virtual negotiation on substantive issues. We also want to call the attention to the proliferation of unrecognized terminologies in multilateral environmental forums, which, far from joining force in the construction of a common view, generate inequality and distance us from our common objectives. Mr. Chair, we want to bring to this forum an issue of significant importance for the organization, the main responsible for the international environmental law and the interrelation between environmental law and human rights. This issue that we want to raise refers to the negative implication for all environmental rights of the illegal application of unilateral coercive measures. This has been an issue that my country has been denouncing due to the implications it entails in compliance with the Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 Agenda, and others such as the goals set out in the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. The illegal application of these unilateral measures affects the principles of non-regression in environmental objectives. To cite one example, this is without no doubt an illegal law. Recently concluded the on-site visit of the United Nations Special Rapporteur for Human Rights in Caracas, Venezuela, who prepared an independent report on the state of the impact of the population and the economy due to the application of these unilateral, extraterritorial, and coercive measures, noting that unilateral coercive measures are contrary to the international law. The sanctions have had a devastating effect on the fundamental rights of the Venezuelan people that comprise the environmental ones. In addition to the independent report of the UN rapporteur, there is also the recognition of the repercussions of the sanctions in the worsening of the deterioration of the Venezuelan economy in a report of the Government Accountable Office of the United States of North America. International environmental law must recognize and contemplate the interrelation between the application of these illegal measures in the treatment of the fundamental environmental rights contemplated among the human rights. To conclude, Mr. Chair, for Venezuela, the commemoration of the 5th anniversary of the multilateral environmental diplomacy after the founding of the UNEP is of significant relevance. This should be an opportunity to relaunch its importance with greater emphasis. Many thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Venezuela, for your statement. Now I see the distinguished delegation of Chile requesting for the floor. Again, kindly make short statements as we do not have a lot of time. I appeal to delegations to really limit their statements and focus their interactions. Thank you very much. Chile, you have the floor. Yes, we can.
To achieve this meeting despite the difficult techniques we face, as well as the UNEP Secretariat, which has supported this work. Mr. Chair, your physical presence in the UNEP office is a reliable proof that we, with the proper sanitary safeguard, it is possible to return step by step to multilateralism in person. Just as other agencies of the United Nations have already done it, UNEP has the conditions to do it. Regarding the contribution of the meeting to the high-level political forum, Chile believes it is necessary to highlight that COVID-19 implies an additional challenge that we face in climate and environmental matters, but that today we cannot promote a recovery if it is not sustainable. We have the opportunity to rebuild better and in a harmony with nature. Recovery will certainly not be easy. We face multiple needs and urgencies, but this crisis represents a unique opportunity to accelerate our transformation towards a more inclusive, healthier, low-carbon, and resilient economy for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you for your intervention and for abiding to my advice. Thank you very much, Chile. Now, we seem to have concluded the list of member states requesting for the floor on this agenda item. I have just one major stakeholder requesting for the floor. I do not have the organization that you represent, Mrs. Patricia Heidegger. So please kindly identify which organization you are speaking on behalf of, and you have 1 minute to speak.
Thank you, Chair. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you all.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Patricia, and I'm here to share the messages that were agreed last week at the Global Major Groups and Stakeholder Forum. I work for the European Environmental Bureau, and I'm the regional facilitator for the European region. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you some of the core messages to UNEA 5.1 that we have all discussed and agreed upon last week as major groups and stakeholders. I do not have to remind anyone here in the room of the overwhelming scientific proof of the environmental crisis and the existential threat for nature, animals, and humankind, and the fact that the pandemic is a wake-up call for all of us to speed up global environmental decision-making, to step up ambition for transformative action, and to increase the pace and scale of implementation efforts. In the recovery period, we call on you to apply very strict conditionalities and remove subsidies for those companies and stakeholders that cannot prove very clear progress towards full and deep sustainability. We call on you to ensure that recovery programs all around the world and investments are guided by the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs. We hope that you will invest in positive change. As major groups and stakeholders, we have closely followed your deliberations on UNEP's medium-term strategy, and we ask you to still strengthen it, and we invite you also to consider our full joint statement. We are concerned, amongst others, that UNEP's work must address environmental racism. It must mainstream the role of indigenous peoples as environmental governors. It must incorporate animal health and welfare and adopt the One Health, One Welfare approach. It must reintroduce actions for environmental defenders in a time when defenders are more than ever threatened, and it must provide leadership in addressing the environmental dimensions of armed conflicts and military activities. We also call on you to make sure that the Stockholm Plus 50 conference, which we're working towards, will ensure that principles and rights that have emerged under international environmental law and that are enshrined in constitutions and laws in many of your countries are fully and globally recognized. This includes the international codification of a human right to a healthy environment, the recognition of ecocide as an international crime, the protection of environmental defenders, and the rights of animals and the rights of nature. Stockholm Plus 50 is a unique opportunity for you to agree on a visionary and action-oriented statement. 50 years after Stockholm and almost 30 years after Rio, progress is too weak and synergies between environmental agreements remains inadequate. We call on you to all re-engage in the urgent discussion to close the gaps in international environmental law. To answer to General Assembly Resolution 73-333, we call for a political declaration that commits member states to work on a concrete action plan to be achieved by 2025. We also call on you to maintain the momentum towards UNEA 5.2 to adopt a mandate to start negotiations for a legally binding instrument to tackle plastic pollution. It must realize the polluter pays principle and focus on the reduction of plastic production and consumption. We need closer linkages between UNEP, UNEA, and the CBD process. We are calling for an ambitious and equitable post-2020 global biodiversity framework that must reverse biodiversity loss by 2030 and work towards recovery by 2050, including a strong rights-based approach and ensuring the equitable sharing of benefits and costs. We request a clear signal from UNEA 5.1 regarding the strategic approach to international chemicals management to the SAICM Bureau to extend the current approach until a new instrument is adopted. We need the post-2020 instrument to ensure the highest standards for health and environment for chemicals of concern that are not yet covered by existing multilateral agreements, to phase out highly hazardous pesticides by 2030, and to fully adopt a globally harmonized system for classification, labeling, and the safe handling of chemicals. The 2021 Oceans Conference needs to lead to a new ocean governance framework that effectively addresses the wide range of threats posed to our oceans, and the Food Summit must drive the transformation to more resilient and sustainable food systems. We need systemic change and call on you and UNEP to address root causes and drivers for the environmental destruction, negative impact on smallholder farmers, and the risk of zoonotic diseases in the current food systems. All these decisions and the implementation must involve all relevant rights holders, in particular marginalized and targeted persons, including indigenous peoples, local communities, women, youth, and older people. We recall the need for good and equitable governance. We call on you to foster partnership with us, the major groups and stakeholders, as well as all other rights holders, to contribute to this UNEA process. We need you to step up your support from words to deeds by also providing resources. We're asking for a new approach to decision-making at international level, fit for purpose to respond to the current crises. We need to cut red tape for protocol and formalities, refocusing on the delivery of tangible results, transparency, and accountability. As major groups and stakeholders, we offer our expertise. We are the link between the world's top body of environmental decision-making, UNEA, and local communities and knowledge, people's real concerns, as well as their support for your decisions. We will be here to witness if UNEA 5 is the place where you show global leadership in addressing our joint challenges. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much for your intervention. That concludes my list of speakers in the section on general statements. So moving on in my agenda, I would like to ask if there is any delegation that wishes to intervene under agenda item 2. I must say that we have already adopted the minutes of the 153rd meeting of the CPR, but in light of the technical hurdles that we faced yesterday, I would like to still provide an opportunity for any delegation that wishes to intervene under this agenda item so that their comments are duly reflected in the reports of the meeting. So I see that there is one delegation requesting for the floor. The floor is yours. No, that delegation has withdrawn.
No.
Yes, they do wish to speak. So if that is the case, then I recognize the delegation of Venezuela.
An observation regarding the adoption of the minutes of the 153 meeting. Specifically, regarding paragraph 8, we think that it's important the recognition of the human dimension of climate change. When they say protecting people, I think we are very supportive of this new inclusion on the issue related with climate change, the human dimension. However, we think that it is also important to incorporate the basic principle of CBDR in everything that is related with climate change, and also the importance of incorporating loss and damage at the same level of adaptation, mitigation, and also financing issues. There are also a key issue for developing countries. Regarding with paragraph 11, we think that is imprecise, ambiguous, the use of the reference of toxic economy. That does not start from any report with scientific consideration. It can be also become discriminatory. So we don't think that is a good way to make reference to something using the word toxic. Toxic economy can have different meanings from different perspectives. So we think that we should omit this use. In paragraph 12, we are strongly opposed to the fact that it's expressed in this paragraph because it has no scientific record when they say that the production of fossil fuels is responsible of the global warming, and it will limit the objective to keep 1.5 degrees Celsius, as was stated in the Paris Agreement. Here, the problem is not the production per se. The problem is the consumption and the unsustainable pattern in industrialized countries. So we are very opposed of this inclusion in the minutes. And also, it only refers to one source of greenhouse gases. So we, here in this paragraph, we have a strong reservation. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the opportunity to come back in this point of the agenda.
I thank the distinguished delegation of Venezuela. Venezuela, I just would like to comment that these are minutes of a meeting that took place. These minutes were examined by the Bureau and by the rapporteur of the CPR, and they reflect what took place according to the perspective of the rapporteur and of the Bureau. So, having said that, of course, your comments in regards to the issues that you raised were taken note of and will be reflected in the report of this OECPR. So thank you for that. And now I think we can move on to agenda item 4. So we are now picking up where we left yesterday. So I hope we will be able to move forward. So colleagues, we are now at agenda item 4, budget and program performance, including implementation of Assembly's resolution. I wish to turn your attention to this agenda item. I have the great pleasure to invite Madam Joyce Msuya, Deputy Executive Director of UNEP, to make a comprehensive presentation of all mandated reports by the Executive Director to UNEP 5, except for UNEP/EA5/3, Proposed Medium-Term Strategy 22-25 and its annex, which will be presented and considered under the next agenda item. After this presentation, I will open the floor for any general comments or questions in regards to these reports, but I wish to remind delegations that this is not the time or place to engage in a substantive debate or to take any action on these reports. This will be done in the context of the preparations for the resumed session of UNEA 5 once we are able to meet in a presential manner face-to-face. Today, the aim is to take note of the presentation of these reports and to agree to defer future consideration. With that, let me call on Mrs. Msuya to make her presentation. Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, distinguished delegates. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide a brief snapshot of more than 20 reports that the Secretariat was mandated to submit to UNEA 5. I trust that member states have had a chance to read the reports, which were all readily available on UNEA 5 website before the 6 weeks deadline as stipulated in the UNEA rules and procedures. In this presentation, I will provide a short summary of each document. We would welcome member states to ask very brief questions per the Chair's guidance after my presentation. I am delighted to note that all UNEP directors are connected online with me today and will be available to answer questions from member states. Let us begin with UNEP/EA.5/4, report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/1 on innovative pathways to achieve sustainable consumption and production. The report provides an update on progress made in the implementation of Resolution 4/1 in terms of the requests in paragraphs 12 and 15 of that resolution, in which the Executive Director of UNEP was requested to establish within the scope of existing resources and building on ongoing work without duplication of efforts, a time-bound task group comprised of the International Resource Panel and One Planet Network. The executive director was also asked to provide insight into the management of natural resources and raw materials in relation to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as to explore potential opportunities offered by different pathways towards sustainable consumption and production. And lastly, in the context of national circumstances, identify technical tools, best practices, policy options, sustainable technologies, innovative business models, and financial mechanisms. In paragraph 15 of the resolution, the Environment Assembly requested the Executive Director to submit a report on the overview of best practices, including their impact on the design of products and services, minimizing harmful environmental impacts, and coherent product policies. Second, decoupling of economic growth from environmental degradation through sustainable consumption and production. The ED was also requested to provide recommendations for consideration by the Environment Assembly at its 5th session. UNEP/EA.5/5, the report on progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/2 on promotion of sustainable and innovative solutions for curbing food loss and waste. The report describes the actions taken by the Executive Director to address the requests in Resolution 4/2 and the lessons learned to date. Since the next substantive discussion on this resolution will take place at the resumed 5th session of the Environment Assembly, we expect recommendations for relevant action by the Assembly may be made via an amendment to the report in order to reflect the outcomes of the United Nations Food Systems Summit scheduled for late 2021. Document UNEP/EA.5/6, report on progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/4 on addressing environmental challenges through sustainable business practices. The report provides progress with regard to the role played by sustainable businesses in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The report also underscores the need to develop enabling macroeconomic and sectoral policies. It provides an overview of programs that support the uptake of innovative solutions and sustainable business approaches and available financial mechanisms. It recognizes the importance of developing the skills of enterprises, especially micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, in promoting more sustainable production patterns and relevant work done under national, regional, and global initiatives that promote sustainable business, such as the Resource Efficient and Cleaner Production, Switch Africa Green, Switch Med, and Switch Asia programs. Document UNEP/EA.5/7 is the report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/5 on sustainable infrastructure. The report describes UNEP's efforts in raising awareness about the importance of infrastructure for sustainable development and establishing it as a distinct issue on the global policy agenda. It also promotes existing and developing new normative and technical guidance, knowledge, and tools related to integrated approaches to sustainable infrastructure, and it mobilizes international support for strengthening countries' technical and institutional capacity to adopt integrated approaches to sustainable infrastructure planning and development, thus support their national development objectives. Document UNEP/EA.5/8, report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/6 on marine litter and microplastics. It focuses on the work undertaken to implement Resolution 4/6, which has also contributed to the implementation of several other Environment Assembly resolutions, including Resolution 4/11 on the protection of the marine environment from land-based activities, Resolution 4/1 on innovative pathways to achieve sustainable consumption and production, Resolution 4/5 on sustainable infrastructure, Resolution 4/7 on environmentally sound management of waste, Resolution 4/8 on the sound management of chemicals and waste, Resolution 4/9 on addressing single-use plastic products pollution, Resolution 4/12 on the sustainable management for global health of mangroves, Resolution 4/13 on sustainable coral reefs management, Resolution 4/17 on promoting gender equality and the human rights and empowerment of women and girls in environmental governance, and Resolution 4/20 on the 5th Program for the Development and Periodic Review of Environmental Law under Montevideo Program 5, Delivering for People and the Planet. Document UNEP/EA.5/9 report on progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/8 on sound management of chemicals and waste. The report provides an update on progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/8, highlighting the activities undertaken under the 2019 to 2021 program of work, mainly covering chemicals, waste, and air quality subprogram. UNEP has developed flagship reports, including thought starters with policy-relevant questions for consideration of the Assembly, and in support of the intersessional process on sound management of chemicals and waste, contributed to the development of a new framework for beyond 2020, an overarching outlook for future international work on science policy platforms, innovation and partnerships, system approaches linking nature and climate are presented in the reports. UNEP has continued to be an active partner and a host of coalitions aimed at coordinating actions in specific domains, such as the Global Mercury Partnership. In addition, support and for institutional strengthening for capacity building has been provided through the special program contributing to implementation of the BRS and Minamata Conventions and SICAM. The special program is in the process of finalizing its 4th round, has completed 4 rounds of applications for funding, and has provided support to 42 countries to date. Report UNEP/EA.5/10. It's the report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/10 on innovation, on biodiversity and land degradation. The report, as you will have seen, elaborates on the collaborative action of UNEP under the program of work to respond to requests made within Resolution 4/10 and to restore, conserve, and sustainably use biodiversity and strengthen ecosystem resilience focused on the following areas: advancing the global biodiversity agenda, including by supporting the United Nations Summit on Biodiversity, promoting human-wildlife coexistence, expanding innovative financing for restoration and ecosystem-based approaches, and integrating biodiversity and land degradation and desertification priorities in conjunction supporting the United Nations Decade on Ecosystems Restoration. UNEP/EA.5/11 reports on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/15 on innovations in sustainable rangelands and pastoralism. The report provides an update on on progress in the implementation of resolutions 4/11 and 2/24. UNEP is addressing the requests in those resolutions mainly through collaboration with national and international institutions, the organization of side events at high-level events, and the initiation of new projects on sustainable land management, which contribute to achieving the expected accomplishments of the environmental ecosystems management subprograms in the UNEP programs of work for 2016 to 2017 and 2018 to 2021. UNEP/EA.5/12 provides a progress report on the implementation of the Resolution 4/17 on the promotion of gender equality and human rights and empowerment of women and girls in environmental governance. The report provides highlights of progress made in the implementation of the gender policy since mid-2015. The gender policy implementation period was extended to 2020 as the policy continued to provide the framework for integrating gender perspectives into programs and projects developed under the UNEP medium-term strategy for 2018 to 2021. The gender policy sets out the UNEP business model for gender mainstreaming, which articulates two levels at which gender mainstreaming takes place. First, the level of the organization, and second, the level of the program. A strong accountability framework provides the necessary institutional arrangements and enabling conditions for gender mainstreaming in UNEP programs and operations. UNEP/EA.5/13 reports on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/18 on poverty environment nexus. Resolution 4/18 was requested the Executive Director of UNEP to strengthen initiatives to address the linkages between poverty and the environment, and to consider how UNEP could, including through its country and regional offices, contribute to the eradication of poverty. The Assembly further requested the Executive Director to promote innovations in sustainable agriculture, support adaptation and resilience building efforts to address the adverse impacts of climate change, desertification, natural disasters, environmental degradation, and other environmental changes that can contribute to human displacement. UNEP/EA.5/14 Progress Report on the Implementation of Resolution 4/19 on Mineral Resources. The report describes the progress made in the implementation of Resolution 4/19 through a series of 23 consultative meetings, during which more than 1,200 representatives from member states, including through UNEP national focal points, as well as major groups and other stakeholders, were convened to identify best practices and knowledge gaps, as well as assess governance options and consider common elements of interest for the next steps on the mineral resource governance agenda. The outcomes of the consultation process provided the basis upon which recommendations and suggested actions are presented for consideration by the Environment Assembly. The report also describes the progress in UNEP's work on the thematic areas covered in the reports mentioned in the resolution, namely tailings management, sand and sustainability, and mineral resource governance in the 21st century. UNEP/EA.5/15 reports on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/20 on the 5th Program for the Development and Periodic Review of Environmental Law, Montevideo Program 5. Delivering for People and Planet. It outlines the progress made in the implementation of Resolution 4/20 and provides recommendations and suggested actions, taking into account that as of 15th October 2020, there was no dedicated funding for UNEP to implement Montevideo Program 5. Document UNEP/EA.5/16 reports on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 4/22 on implementation and follow-up of United Nations Environment Assembly resolutions. This report provides a summary of the development and activation of Environment Assembly Monitoring and Reporting Portal and on the development of the Consolidated Reporting Framework agreed upon on 27th of February 2020. It also notes that while a key milestone was reached with the launch of the portal on the 16th of October 2020, efforts are underway to introduce further improvements in a second phase of development based on feedback from member states. UNEP/EA.5/17 reports on the progress on the implementation of Resolution 4/23 on keeping the world environment under review, enhancing the United Nations Environment Programme, Science Policy Interface, and endorsement of the Global Environment Outlook. The report describes actions taken to address the requests in Resolution 4/23 and lessons learned to date. An update to the report will be provided for the resumed 5th session of the Environment Assembly, at which substantive discussions on the resolution are expected to take place. UNEP/EA.5/18 provides report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 3/3 on contributions of United Nations Environment Assembly to the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. The High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development takes place annually in July under the auspices of the Economic and Social Council and every 4 years in September under the auspices of the General Assembly. In 2020, the forum took place in July with the theme Accelerated Action and Transformative Pathways, Realizing the Decade of Action and Delivery for Sustainable Development. The report outlines the steps taken to provide meaningful contributions to the forum and suggests concrete steps for further enhancing contributions. In doing so, it elaborates on progress in the implementation of paragraphs 3 and 4 of Resolution 3/3 on substantive inputs and increased interaction between the Environment Assembly and the Forum. Paragraph 5 on the role of the President of the Environment Assembly in actively participating in and conveying the main messages to the Forum. And paragraph 7 on supporting preparations for the annual meetings of the regional forums on sustainable development. UNEP/EA.5/19 report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 3/6 on managing soil pollution to achieve sustainable development. This report contains an update on the steps taken to implement Resolution 3/6 and outlines how UNEP is collaborating with other UN organizations and national and international institutions that have been working on the issue of soil pollution, including the framework of partnerships in order to develop a joint agenda relating to the implementation of the actions requested by the Environment Assembly in paragraphs 6 to 9 of the resolution. UNEP/EA.5/20 report on the progress in the implementation of Resolution 3/10 on addressing water pollution to protect and restore water-related ecosystems. These reports contain an update on progress in the implementation of the resolution, which requested UNEP to cooperate with other relevant organizations, including through UN Water, to develop a world water quality assessment for consideration by the Environment Assembly at its 5th session. The present report contains an update on progress in the implementation of the resolution, in particular with regard to the work streams of the water quality assessments and the World Water Quality Alliance. UNEP/EA.5/21 report on the progress on the implementation of Resolution 2/14 on illegal trade in wildlife and wild products. This report outlines the progress made in implementing Resolution 2/14 and consequently also Resolution 1/3 on illegal trade in wildlife, an earlier Environment Assembly resolution on the same topic. In doing so, it outlines how UNEP has responded to the mandates in both resolutions through the following 3 avenues: within the UN system, within supporting governments in developing and implementing the environmental rule of law, and reinforcing international efforts by governments and local partners. UNEP/EA.5/22 provides a progress report on the implementation of previous programs of work and midterm strategies. UNEP/EA.5/23 report on the action plan for the implementation of subparagraphs A to H of paragraph 88 of the outcome document of the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. This presents a comprehensive action plan to implement paragraph 88, which builds on the guidance provided by member states at several subcommittee meetings of Committee of Permanent Representatives. Finally, a few words about UNEP/EA.5/24, providing options for the future of the global environment outlook. This document is an interim report by the Steering Committee on the future of the global environment outlook and will be complemented by a forthcoming final report of the Steering Committee, which will support a substantive discussion on the future of GEO, expected to be held at the resumed 5th session of the Environment Assembly in February 2022. Alongside the working documents, you have before you 18 information documents that cover critical issues. For example, UNEP's growing work on environmentally sound management of waste. Let me end this presentation by thanking UNEP staff, dedicated staff who authored, edited, and helped with the translation of these over 20 documents for UNEA 5. I would like to remind member states of the considerable work and resources that lie behind these over-reporting mandates. While reporting on progress remains a very important aspect of our work, an opportunity to showcase our work and lessons learned, UNEP as an organization is small and with very limited resources to monitor and report on each and every work stream. Resources spent on reporting comes sometimes at the risk and expense of missed opportunities for deeper and more effective implementation of resolutions. To this end, I would encourage member states to keep this in mind when considering new resolutions at the resumed session of UNEA 5, and as much as possible, avoid the increase of an already challenging reporting burden at the expense of implementation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Executive Director, for your comprehensive presentation. Now I would like to open the floor for any questions and comments on the presentation that we have just heard. We have, of course, taken due note that there are representatives of the Secretariat available to respond to any specific question. Nevertheless, again, I stress that we are just taking note of this, and we do not wish to engage in substantive deliberations at this stage, as we have agreed. This is of the limitations that we are under. Right now, I have a technical problem with my terminal here, which our diligent supporting team is working to solve. So with that, I would like to ask if there are delegations requesting for the floor. I see that the distinguished delegation of Portugal, which is speaking as on behalf of the EU, if I'm not mistaken. Portugal tem a palavra.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon to all our distinguished members of the panel present with you.
Distinguished Ambassador, would you be kind enough to turn on your camera? Thank you.
Microfone para Portugal, por favor.
Thank you. Hope to be seen now and heard. Can you confirm, please?
Yes, Portugal. Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, thank you for giving me the floor and for ably navigating us through this meeting. And I would also like it at this juncture to greet you and Madam Executive Director, the distinguished delegates and excellencies, colleagues and friends. Indeed, I have requested for the floor on behalf of the EU and its member states as EU Chair of the Council. I take the note of your request to keep us with a brief intervention, and I will briefly address this point to tell you that it is my pleasure to wish to thank and commend the Secretariat for all the substantive work done, including with partners, organizations, private sector, and other relevant stakeholders, as appropriate for the timely submissions of the reports to our meeting. The EU and its member states would further like to take note of the reports and their findings and recognize the timely availability of these reports provides a unique opportunity for member states to prepare for their consideration and substantive discussion at the resumed session in 2022. While agreeing to defer the substantive discussions of the Executive Director's report to 2022, we believe that additional information could be provided to the membership by the Secretariat during the intersessional period. Therefore, the European Union and its membership states will share in writing some preliminary observations and questions in view of the possibility, as well of reviewing these reports at the annual subcommittee meeting in 2021. Issue that we expect to address under agenda item 8, and indeed we have, under the draft decision of the adjournment of and resumption of the fifth session of the United Nations Environmental Assembly. In view of the time, I would like to stop here and thank you.
I thank the distinguished Ambassador of Portugal for her statement and for also being so kind as to take into account the limited time that we have available. I see the distinguished delegation of Switzerland requesting for the floor. You have the floor, Switzerland.
Thank you very much, and I hope also that the connection is working well. Let me just very briefly thank the Deputy Executive Director for this excellent presentation. I think it has shown that UNEP did once again great work, and that we all can be proud of UNEP and of the team, the secretary team, the whole secretary team in delivering this work. And let me just indicate that we are looking forward to review with more in-depth these reports at the upcoming annual subcommittee next year. And most importantly, that we're also looking forward to celebrate the important work, the critical work that UNEP is delivering since 50 years next year when we celebrate the 50th anniversary of UNEP. Thank you very much.
I thank the distinguished representative of Switzerland for the statement. That concludes my list of speakers. Again, thank you very much for Madam Masuria for your presentation. May I suggest that we take note of the presentation of these reports? I see no objection. It is so decided. That concludes consideration of agenda item 4. And now I would like to move on to agenda item 5, which is administrative and budgetary matters. Under this agenda item, I am pleased to invite Madam Inge Andersen, Executive Director of UNEP, to present the proposed midterm strategy for the period 2022-2025 and the program of work and budget for the period 2022-2023. These proposals are contained in document UNEP/EA5/3 and its annex. I believe that your presentation will inform us of course, I must also highlight the fact that we have made very good progress in the consideration of the draft decision, and we have made such good progress that I am aiming to submit to the plenary L1, which deals with particularly this issue, which has just a few outstanding issues to be ironed out. And as we speak, delegations are consulting, and I am very hopeful that before we close this plenary, we'll be in a position to adopt the draft decision on this matter. So with this positive note, Madam Anderson, I would like to invite you to address the OECPR on this very important issue.
Thank you so much, Chair, and my deep thanks also to the hard work that we've witnessed this morning and afternoon in trying to arrive at the agreed resolution text. But it may be useful just to recall the fundamental nature and the fundamental essence of what the MTS highlights. Because whilst we certainly need to have the resolution approved, and your hard work is testament to the determination of getting to that approval, this MTS is indeed a new page for UNEP. And I am very, very pleased to report that that new MTS, the program of work on the budget in the last year in the preparation, has progressed exceedingly well. Excellencies, you've heard me speak of the 3 planetary crises, but it bears repeating. We have these 3 crises, and they are core and the focus in the MTS: the climate crisis, the nature and biodiversity crisis, and the pollution and waste crisis. And even as we continue the pandemic, of course, these crises continue to chip away at our very sustainability and add to poverty, and therefore detracting from our attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. We look upon that in the MTS being undermined by the unsustainable consumption and production, and therefore eroding at relentless speed the natural foundations of the life of which prosperity is based. So in this strategy before you, we seek to enable a set of transformative shifts. We can't do this alone as UNEP, but we seek to enable it with partners across the spectrum to target the drivers of climate change, to target biodiversity loss and pollution, and indeed to target and do that grounded on the fundamentals of people, prosperity, and equity. That is a medium-term strategy which you have before you, and that is what we aim to do in the strategy 22 to 25, underpinned by the program of work and budget from 22 to 23, which is presented as an annex to the streamlined MTS. This MTS and its associated work program and budget are therefore designed to make these transformative shifts. And I'm really pleased to report that the development of our MTS, POW, and budget has been progressing because of your participation. From the very initial discussions back in October 2019, when we formally started the process, to this morning, where we made some technical amendments, which I presented to you. I am deeply grateful to you all for progressing in this challenging and difficult and complex and unprecedented time, for progressing the MTS in the spirit of collaboration, compromise, and of thinking together to chart a path for UNEP to scale up impact in addressing the 3 planetary crises and leverage existing platforms and opportunities, including UN reform. The MTS, therefore, describes the substance and content of UNEP's 4-year program, while the POW and budget, in addition to programmatic content for the 2 years ahead, also covers administrative, HR, and budget-related matters. So today, as we hope to finalize the work on the MTS in the context of the resolution, as we just heard from you, Chair, that will enable us to present to UNEA an MTS that supports building back better, with UNEP standing firmly in support of member states. We look forward to embarking on this together on the road ahead, however challenging that road may be, for the benefit of people and planet. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Inge, for your presentation. I would like now to open the floor for comments and questions. Does any delegation wish to intervene? I again would appeal that we do not repeat statements that we've heard in the context of the consultations that are ongoing in a formal setting. I see the distinguished delegation of the European Union requesting for the floor. Please proceed, EU.
We would like to thank the Executive Director for her presentation of the medium-term strategy and program of work at this meeting.
Distinguished representative, for the support of the interpreters, we kindly request you to turn on your camera. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm now audible and visible. So we would like to thank the Executive Director for her presentation made today, and on behalf of the European Union and its member states, express that we welcome and support the proposed medium-term strategy and program of work and budget. These are documents that have been subject to long consultations and has seen the integration of many of the concerns raised by UNEP members throughout the extensive consultation process. It's our consideration that looking at the long and transparent discussions throughout several meetings and our common role in the Committee of Permanent Representatives of providing guidance to the Secretariat as the penholder of both documents, it is now time to take the next step and pave the way for the formal approval of the MTS in the program of work and budget. We think that any outstanding issues of concern will be addressed through the decision that will guide the implementation of both the medium-term strategy and program of work and budget. I would like to add that obviously this medium-term strategy, program of work and budget has a lot of things in it that we are deeply attached to, but also we had in the context of the consultations give up quite a number of issues that we would have liked to see. So in balance, we considered that this document is a very balanced one and hope that we can speedily move forward endorsing it from the point of view of the CPR. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the distinguished delegation of the European Union for the statement. I see that the delegation from Palestine has requested for the floor. So please, Palestine, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be delivering my statement in Arabic. في البداية اسمحوا لي أن أشكر.
Distinguished delegate, kindly turn on your camera so that interpreters can really interpret your statement. Thank you.
Please turn on your video to help the interpreters, distinguished delegate. To begin, allow me to extend my thanks to you, Chair, of the CPR, for all of the efforts.
We are not hearing the interpretation.
I'm sorry, but we can't hear the interpretation.
Palestine, begin again.
Please start again. The interpreter is here and live. This is the English channel. At the outset, allow me to thank you, President of the Committee of Permanent Representatives, Chair rather, for all of the efforts made and the instructions given regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. I also wish to commend the efforts of the Executive Director for preparing our working documents for this meeting in advance, and for her active participation with member states and stakeholders so as to implement the MTS. To this end, my country's delegation wishes to commend efforts made by the Secretariat so as to leave no one behind. And this was as part of the midterm strategy. We stress the importance of meeting the needs of countries affected by disasters, as well as conflicts within all sub-programs, including climate action and pollution action and action against chemical products. We also need to step up our ambition in implementing these programs. We invite all states capable of supporting these sub-programs to do so, because it is very important to mitigate the negative impact on the environment, as well as the impact on the fragile environmental system brought about by conflicts. I thank you, Chair.
I thank the distinguished delegation of Palestine for the intervention. And the next speaker on my list is Switzerland. You have the floor. You're muted.
Okay, I hope it's working. Thanks again to UNEP for its excellent work, especially also how UNEP has handled the difficult situation of COVID and was able to continue the work, its important work. We think, once again, the work of UNEP is important and we fully support it and we continue to fully support it. We would like to thank UNEP for the transparent and inclusive process, how the MTS was developed. And we think that the MTS, as we proposed now for adoption, is a good document. It is well structured and it highlights also the key challenges which UNEP has to work for and address in order to help us all to move towards sustainable development. So thank you very much. And we'd like to signal our full support for the MTS and we look forward to its adoption at this UNIAL. Thank you very much.
I thank the distinguished representative of Switzerland. That concludes my list of speakers. Thank you very much for that. May I suggest that we now take note of the presentation by the Executive Director and defer further consideration of the matter to agenda items 8. I see no objection. It is so decided. Moving to agenda item 6, contributions to the meetings of the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. As you are aware, this year's High-Level Political Forum will meet from 6 to 15 July in accordance with the advice of the Bureau of the CPR. The Secretariat has circulated letters from the President of ECOSOC as well as from the President of UNEA, whereby member states are invited to submit inputs by 12 February 2021. On this basis, and in accordance with Resolution 3 adopted at UNEA 3, the Secretariat will develop a draft contribution which will be considered at meetings of the CPR subcommittee that are tentatively scheduled for 4, 11, and 15th of March. I thus propose that we now defer further consideration of this matter and mandate the CPR subcommittee to consider and finalize the contribution to the HLPF at their upcoming meetings based on the draft document that will be circulated immediately following the UNEA virtual session next week. I see that we have a delegation requesting for the floor before we take action on this proposal. And so I quickly give the floor to my distinguished friend and colleague, Ambassador Martín Gómez Bustillo. You have the floor, Senor.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I did ask for the floor to speak on agenda item 5. Is now the moment to return to that, sir? Thank you.
Yes, we have concluded the consideration of agenda item 5, Ambassador, but of course we are under extremely exceptional circumstances, so I will, of course, give you the opportunity to intervene under the previous agenda item. So, Ambassador, please, we look forward to your intervention under agenda item 5.
Thank you very much, Chair. I did ask for the floor, but perhaps it wasn't registered on the system. I would like to thank you for taking this kindness to allow me to take the floor. So thank you again, Chairman, and I'd like to thank the Executive Director for her presentation. The Argentinian delegation is constructively and actively involved in the process of consultation pertaining to the document on the midterm strategy, the MTS. From our view, we have shown that this does not align with UNEP to choose the language, what it chooses and what it cannot, but it must use language which was agreed in the conventions and the multilateral agreements pertaining to the environment, and to not innovate on issues which are not open for renegotiation. In the current drafting of the MTS, there is an imbalance in how current obligations are reflected and current schemes. For example, in terms of mitigation, adaptation, and measures of implementation, as well as references to nationally determined contributions and the NDCs. Also, we'd like to underscore the need. The interpreter apologizes, the sound from the speaker has dropped. The interpreter apologizes, the sound from the ambassador has dropped. The interpreter apologizes once again, the sound from His Excellency has stopped for the moment.
Armoniosamente bajo el paraguas de la Convención. Señor Presidente, a lo largo de nuestras intervenciones
apologizes, the sound from His Excellency has stopped.
referencias a posibles elementos del marco mundial de biodiversidad posterior a 2020 y lo que se espera de él para el 2025, ya que el mismo está en etapas tempranas de negociación.
The interpreter apologizes. The sound from the speaker has not resumed. Thank you.
Es fundamental que respetemos el lenguaje que las partes acordaron bajo las convenciones y acuerdos del marco legal multilateral relativo al medio ambiente de las Naciones Unidas, ya que el rol del PNUMA debe ser el de facilitar y permitir la implementación de acuerdos.
The interpreter apologizes. There is no sound from the speaker still. We are awaiting reconnection. Thank you.
Preocupaciones fueron recogidas por la directora ejecutiva en su propuesta de revisión del documento.
The interpreter from the English booth apologizes. There is no sound from the speaker. The interpreter sincere apologies. There is no sound from the speaker.
Con el apoyo de la Secretaría. La delegación argentina acompañará el consenso sobre el documento de la estrategia. Señor presidente, se solicita que las presentes consideraciones queden reflejadas en el acta de la reunión. Muchas gracias.
And everything that is said needs to be reflected in the minutes of the meeting. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I've just been informed by the Secretariat there is no interpretation from Spanish. Therefore, I please convey 1,000 apologizes to you, but that is the current situation. And I would kindly ask whether you might begin your intervention again in English so that we can take on board your very important comments. My suggestion would be that the Argentine delegation would convey its intervention in Spanish so that the Secretariat can take good note of all of your points raised in all languages. Argentina, please. I'll give you the floor once again.
Representative of Argentina that we do not have interpretation, which is very regrettable, and indeed I would like to request some clarification whether we can proceed in this manner, as it is totally unacceptable that we work without languages, unless, of course, delegations are willing to do so. So I deeply apologize, Ambassador, and request you to please address the committee in English if you so wish, as we have this problem. Argentina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I only have my intervention in Spanish. I will send to the Secretariat a copy of the Spanish presentation, and if I have time, I will send an English version of Argentina presentation. And we are willing that this presentation we keep in the records of this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Argentina, for your statement. Gracias, Argentina. Y con eso.
Argentina. And with that, seeing no other delegation requesting the floor, therefore, I would like to declare once again that we have concluded consideration of agenda item 5. And now we'll move on to agenda item 6. And I'd like to ask if there are any comments from the floor pertaining to the proposal to review the subcommittee of CPR to make comments on this document, which the Secretariat will prepare, with an aim to convey this to the high-level political forum. If there is no objection to this way forward, I can see the distinguished delegate from Switzerland who is asking for the floor. Therefore, I'd like to give the floor to the Swiss delegate, followed by the Egyptian delegation. Switzerland, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just very briefly indicate that Finland supports the proposal to defer the consideration of the UNIA's contribution to the HLPF to the CPR. In preparing that document, the first draft of the document, we would like to request the Secretariat to produce a document that is succinct, that is short, focusing on the achievements of UNIA that are the outcomes of the past UNIAs, namely the resolutions and the ministerial declarations, and to gear it towards the SDGs in review, under review in this year's HLPF. So a short and succinct note that is really focusing on the achievements of UNIA based on UNIA's resolutions and geared towards the SDGs that are this year under review. And as it is a document called UNIA's contribution to the 2030 agenda, we would also expect that the UNIA president will be charged to submitting that document to the HLPF. Thank you very much.
I thank the distinguished delegation of Switzerland and give the floor to Egypt.
Distinguished delegate of Egypt, kindly raise your hand, request for the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I hope you can see and hear me. Good evening, or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, and thank you very much. I just wanted to seek clarification. As far as I understood it, we will be deferring the matter of further consideration of UNIA's inputs to the HLPF to dedicated subcommittee meetings, as was expressed, I think, in a letter from the UNIA presidency that was forwarded to us by the Secretariat. But I just had to ask for clarification on this because, unfortunately, I was facing some technical issues in hearing the last part of your of the proceedings. And having said that, and while I still have the floor, I would just like to appeal that the process for preparation of UNIA's inputs to the HLPF during this round tries to avoid some of the difficulties or lack of clarity that we had during previous iterations of this process. So just to keep that in mind as we move forward, so that the process can be as inclusive, transparent, and participatory as possible, and that the CPR can be well abreast of all the preparations of this very important contribution. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Egypt, for your intervention. Indeed, I have just been informed that when I spoke a moment ago, there was no interpretation, which again I find deeply disturbing, as it is expected that we have a plenary in all languages and that all delegations are able to speak in any of the official UN languages. So I hope this can be corrected immediately, because this indeed puts us in a very complicated procedural situation. Now, I would just like to again say that in regards to this document, we must not forget the nature of this document. This document is prepared by the Secretariat. It is submitted for consideration by the CPR, and the Bureau has discussed this and agreed that we would benefit from 3 rounds of consultations in regards to this document, precisely to avoid the problems that we faced in the discussion of this important document that took place earlier this last year, already in the midst of the pandemic and in this unfortunate setting with virtual discussions. So thank you for your good advice, Egypt, and we will proceed accordingly. And thank you to Switzerland for also reminding us that indeed this is a document that after being examined by the CPR in the 3 rounds of consultations will be sent by the Secretariat to the UNEA President. And we have had extensive discussions, and fortunately we have ensured that the President of UNEA is now in every year in a position to address UNEA, to address the HLPF as President of UNEA. So thank you very much for that. I see that there is no objections to the way ahead, so it is so decided. Thank you very much. That concludes our consideration of agenda item 7. I would now like to proceed to the next agenda item, which is progress update on the implementation of United Nations General Assembly Resolution 73/333. As you will recall, on the 30th of August 2019, the General Assembly adopted Resolution 73/333, entitled Follow-up to the Report of the Ad Hoc Open-Ended Working Group established pursuant to General Assembly Resolution 72/277. In the resolution, the General Assembly decided as follows, and I quote, forward these recommendations to the United Nations Environment Assembly for its consideration and to prepare, at its 5th session in February 2021, a political declaration for a United Nations high-level meeting subject to voluntary funding in the context of the commemoration of the creation of the United Nations Environment Programme by the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment held in Stockholm from 5 to 16 June 1972, with a view to strengthening the implementation of international environmental law and international environmental governance in line with paragraph 88 of the outcome document of the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, entitled The Future We Want. 2 co-facilitators have been appointed by the CPR to facilitate the informal consultations under the auspices of the CPR towards the implementation of this resolution. Her Excellency, Madam Saklein Sieda, Vice Chair of the CPR, and High Commissioner and Permanent Representative of Pakistan, and Mr. Ado Lomus, Vice President of UNEA and Permanent Representative of UNEP, Permanent Representative of Environment of the Republic of Estonia. I would like to thank them for being here with us here in the UN headquarters in Nairobi to address the OECPR. I also would like to beg their pardon for yesterday having invited them, and unfortunately because of the technical difficulties we were not able to benefit from their briefing. So again, my apologies and my deep gratitude for your hard work in taking forward this very, very important issue. And I have the very great pleasure to invite both of you to provide a short progress update on the process that you are co-facilitating, including a proposed timeline. Excellency, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Pakistan, Madam Saklein Sieda, and Mr. Ado Lomus, Permanent Representative of Estonia, you have the floor, and I will let you choose who speaks first, but my inclination would be to give the floor to, I think, Mr. Lomus first. Okay, Mr. Lomus, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, the delegates, as co-facilitators, it is our pleasure to provide an update to the open-ended committee of the permanent representatives on the implementation of General Assembly Resolution 73/333. Delegates will recall that General Assembly Resolution 73/333 was preceded by the ad hoc open-ended working group that adopted substantive recommendations that were unanimously endorsed by the Resolution 73/333. These substantive recommendations addressed, inter alia, the strengthening of international environmental law and governance. By Resolution 73/333, UNIA 5 was also requested to prepare a political declaration for a UN high-level meeting in the context of the commemoration of the creation of UNEP by the 1972 Stockholm Conference, with a view to strengthening the implementation of international environmental law and international environmental governance in line with paragraph 88 of the outcome document of the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development entitled The Future We Want. We held the first informal substantive consultation on General Assembly Resolution 73/333 virtually from 21st to 22nd July 2020 in Nairobi. That was attended by member states, members of specialized agencies, representatives of the United Nations system, and the multilateral environmental agreements, as well as stakeholders and civil society. During these consultations, many delegations expressed the view that the political declaration should be drafted as a non-binding document which supports existing international environmental law frameworks, conventions, and agreements. There were also calls for the political declaration to reflect the relationship between the substantive recommendations, the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals, and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. There was overall agreement on the need to fully implement paragraph 88 of the Rio+20 declaration and secure the role of UNEP as the leading global environmental authority. Many delegations called for this process and the resulting political declaration to take into account the current ongoing processes taking place in the context of the Committee of the Permanent Representatives of UNEP that includes, inter alia, the action plan for the implementation of paragraph 88 of Rio+20. Many delegations also called for the political declaration to specifically include relevant provisions referencing support from the developed to developing countries. Many delegations also expressed support for UNEP's programs in the field of international environmental law, including the 5th Montevideo Program for the Development and Periodic Review of Environmental Law. I hand it over to the High Commissioner.
Thank you, Ado, and thank you, Chair. On October 7th, 2020, we circulated the first draft of the building blocks of the political declaration that reflected the discussions at the first informal consultations. The first draft draws upon resolutions 72/277 and 73/333, as well as the inputs from member states and members of specialized agencies during the first informal consultation meeting, and is divided into 3 sections. Strengthening international environmental governance in the context of sustainable development. Number 2, environmental law as an essential element for the protection of our planet and strengthening environmental law at the national and international levels. Number 3, accelerating and facilitating action and implementation, including the implementation of multilateral environmental agreements and to effectively implement them. On January 19, 2021, we shared our proposed roadmap with the member states and members of specialized agencies for the upcoming consultations and meetings. In line with that roadmap, we are seeking comments on the draft building blocks of the political declaration by no later than 15th March 2021. We will then circulate a revised draft by no later than the beginning of May 2021 for second substantive consultation that will take place between 15th-17th June 2021. This will hopefully allow us to meet in person on the UN compound in Nairobi to discuss and negotiate the text of the draft political declaration. After the meeting in June, we hope, after hearing from the member states and members of specialized agencies, to provide further guidance on future in-person consultations in 2021. It is our hope that the preparation of the political declaration will be finalized at the resumed 5th session of UNIA in February 2022. We look forward to your support and engagement in the process ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention and briefing, the both of you. And now I would like to open the floor for any comments and questions regarding this issue. Again, reminding delegations that this is not the occasion to raise any substantive matters. Negotiations on this process are set to resume once we meet again in person, as indicated by the co-facilitators. The floor is open for comments. I see that there is already a stakeholder requesting for the floor, but I would like to offer the opportunity for any member state to intervene on this important agenda item. While I wait a few moments, I would just like to confirm that we have interpretation, and there was basically some technical hurdles, but we have interpretation, which gives me a lot of comfort in order for us to continue our deliberations in accordance with the rules of procedure. So I see the distinguished delegation of Egypt requesting for the floor. You have the floor, Egypt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate you giving me the floor, and I just wanted to react to the briefing that we just received by the two co-facilitators, and of course, first of all, to recognize their excellent work thus far, despite the circumstances, and to thank them for their able leadership and stewardship of this process. And of course, Mr. Chair, on your proposal not to delve into the substance, we will reserve engagement on some of the substantive procedural issues to our discussion dedicated to this matter. So, but just to express our support and to say that we look forward to the next round of consultations. And hopefully to move this process forward in the upcoming round. Thank you very much, Mr.
Chair. Thank you for your intervention. I see the delegation of Portugal who will be speaking on behalf of the European Union. You have the floor, Portugal.
I hope you can hear me. Chair? Trying to check the sound.
Yes, please proceed. It's a little bit low. If you can speak a little bit closer to your microphone. Thank you.
Hope you can hear me now. And again, Mr. Chair, thank you for giving me the floor. And on behalf of the EU and its member states, I would like to thank the co-facilitators for the progress update on the implementation of United Nations General Assembly Resolution 73/333. The EU and its member states agree with the proposed calendar and roadmap for this process, and sincerely hope that we will be able to have in-person consultations already in June. The EU and its member states further take this opportunity to acknowledge and express their gratitude for the work carried out by the co-facilitators over the past few months, including the draft building blocks for the political declaration. We stand ready to engage and support the process ahead of us. We also hope that this online session of UNEA 5 can be an opportunity to identify the adequate occasion to adopt the political declaration mandated by UNGA Resolution 73/333. With this in mind, the EU and its member states look forward to discussing this issue under agenda item 8, namely the proposal to consider the commemorations of the 50th anniversary of the establishment of UNEP during or back-to-back with the resumed session of UNEA 5 in 2022, as the most adequate occasion to adopt a political declaration mandated by the United Nations Resolution 73/333. Thank you, Chair.
I thank the distinguished delegation of Portugal speaking on behalf of the European Union, and I give the floor to South Africa. Please proceed, South Africa.
Thank you, Chair. I'm honored to deliver this intervention on behalf of the African Group. First of all, Chair, allow me to thank the DED on the documents, on all the reports that were presented under agenda item 4, and we look forward as the group to further engagement during the intersessional period and until the finalization of these reports in 2022. We also wish to thank the Executive Director for the presentation on the MTS and program of work, and we look forward to continued discussions and welcome the progress that has been made in ushering the decision that will be ushering this draft MTS and program of work. Chairperson, we also welcome the decision to defer UNEA's contributions to the HLPF to a meeting of the CPR subcommittee. We wish to thank the co-facilitators for the updates that they have shared with us, including the roadmap. We appreciate the work that has been done so far, and we look forward to the second consultative session or meeting currently scheduled for June 2022. The group welcomes continued discussions on the UNGA 73/333 process, and in this regard, we look forward to further deliberations on the proposals that have been made about the process. It is hoped that these discussions will provide clarity on some of the issues that have been raised by the group on this process and some of these proposals, including during the informal consultations of yesterday. Lastly, Chairperson, the African Group, of course, stands ready and committed to the deliberations by UNEA mandated by the resolution, and that our discussions during this current virtual session would be focused on having UNEA deliver on its mandate at the second part of UNEA 5 in 2022. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much to the South African delegation, and now I see Malawi requesting for the floor.
Hello, Chair. If you can hear me, may I proceed? Thank you.
Yes, distinguished delegate, you can proceed. If possible, turn on your camera for the interpreters. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I'm in my house and I'm not dressed for the camera. If you can forgive me for that.
You are forgiven.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, let me thank you, Chair, at this late hour again for the way this meeting is proceeding. And I would like to align Malawi's position with that delivered on behalf of the African Group. Chair, Malawi joins others in thanking the two co-facilitators for their efforts and work in organizing informal consultations on this process, and also coming up with a document titled Draft Building Blocks of a Political Declaration, which has been submitted for consideration and commenting. Malawi welcomes the letter written by the co-facilitators on 19th January 2021, in which they highlight the process of consultation, and they are requesting for comments on the initial draft building blocks of the document. And also they are informing us of the procedural decision to defer preparation of the draft political declaration to February 2022. Chair, we would want, in as much as there will be time perhaps to engage further on this issue, to just take note that as a delegation, we are looking with very keen interest the proposals or suggestions of those that would want to relate it to celebrations of UNEP at 50, which in our view will generally be or will be under the Presidents of Africa. My delegation believes that insisting that 73/33 should be concluded at UNEP at 50 is preempting, if not undermining, the role and vision of the incoming president of UNEA. Further to that, my delegation believes that 73/33, despite suggestions to the contrary, has a history of controversy and lack of consensus arising from the process of the Global Pact for the Environment. As such, linking it to UNEP at 50 may likely diminish the strong stance of unity that the commemoration of the creation of a UN entity is meant to augur amongst its membership. Malawi does not encourage picking on UNEP at 50 as a low-hanging fruit for conclusion of a matter that is certainly looking inconclusive and fraught with uncertainties. Nevertheless, let me take this opportunity to wish the two co-facilitators of GA77/33 the best of success as we move forward in this process, and my delegation looks forward to further engagement on the matter. I thank you, Chair.
I thank the distinguished delegation of Malawi, and I do not see any other member state requesting for the floor. So I would like now to recognize the Institute for Planetary Synthesis for a brief intervention on this issue.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Kindly share your camera as well.
Is that all right? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first of all, congratulations on your skillful way in which you're handling these very difficult discussions. And also thank you for the update on the 73333. Lives and livelihoods depend on the actual implementation of the environmental law at all levels, and work on this must proceed now. GA Resolution 73333 is an important tool to this end. It recommends that all parties mentioned in paragraphs 6 to 18 close the gaps between the MEAs. But this is almost impossible. There are some 250 MEAs, each with different parties and quite diverse, even contradictory provisions. A computer portal, which is adequate computing power, can achieve this. The IPS and other members of the NGO major group have worked out a number of ways in which all of the substantive paragraphs of the Resolution 73333 can actually be implemented. We will send out a report on this to heads of states and government, and also to all UNEP member states in English, Spanish, and French, and that should go out this year. Finally, accountability, a strong ministerial declaration is needed to come out of UNEA 5 too.
but only the actual implementation of 73333 starting now can actually salvage people's lives and livelihoods. We very much hope that UN member states will be able to benefit from the suggestions we make, which you will receive this week. Thank you very much, Member State, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for your intervention, and congratulations on the beautiful painting behind you. I now have Zambia, who has also requested for the floor. Please, Zambia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, everyone. Let me also join others in congratulating you for having ably conducted the deliberations of the meeting and also steering us towards a successive completion of this particular meeting. I wish also to join others in congratulating the two co-facilitators for having conducted the process in a very able manner, and also helping member state towards coming up with a concrete outcome towards the UN General Resolution 73333. Chair, I'm aware that in the spirit of togetherness, we wish to encourage the two co-facilitators to continue in their quest to complete the process, to take everyone on board and ensure that the process of developing the report on the implementation of the UN General Assembly Resolution number 73333 is party-driven and also inclusive, and also should be done in a transparent manner. I wish to state that Zambia stands ready to engage with other members on coming up with a report based on the elements that have been proposed, and also we look forward to constructive engagement on this matter at the next session. Thank you so much.
Donc, je donne la parole à la France.
Give the floor to France, please. Madam Ambassador, you have the floor, says the chair. It would appear that you did not electronically raise your hand. Actually, now, yes, we do see your hand. You have the floor, Your Excellency. So I'd like to support the statement made by the Portuguese delegation on behalf of the EU, and also the previous interventions, in particular the excellent presentation given by the two co-facilitators on the process which is underway, which has allowed us to lead towards a proposal which is already very well structured, and which I would hope, following further consultations which will be held in June next year. I would also like to congratulate them for their work, which aims to find a consensual approach, and that is how we see this declaration, which for us, which should mark a very important stage and to enhance UNEP's work in a collective and consensual manner. Of course, we would hope that this declaration should be ambitious in nature, and this ambitious we would like to lend to UNEP and its mission, and that is why it was said by my colleague from the EU. We would hope that this declaration could be adopted at the UNEP at 50 celebrations. And I hope, and I do believe that on behalf of my delegation, that this ambition could be put in place from today, and of course this depends upon the consultations which will be undertaken. But having said this, we have a mandate for our work for UNEA 5 and for our session in February next year in order to move forward on this very topic. I would therefore hope that this ambition is taken into account and the outcomes of our discussions. And I would like to stress once again that the 3 pillars pointed out by the co-facilitators, on which largely consensus was found, this reflects the views of the UNEP at 50 celebrations, which would hope, which is a celebration which consolidates UNEP and its. The interpreter apologizes. The sound from the speaker has been lost. The interpreter apologizes. The sound from the speaker has been.
Merci, Madame, pour votre intervention.
Thank you, Madam, for your statement. I think that with that statement, we have concluded the list of speakers, which allows me to propose that we conclude our consideration of this item of the agenda.
Note of this update and request the Secretariat to assist in preparation for the next steps as proposed by the co-facilitators. I see no objections. It is so decided. Very well. Thank you, colleagues. That brings me now to the next item on our agenda, which is agenda item 8, preparation of decisions and outcomes of the online 5th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. During this session, we will consider 3 draft procedural decisions. L1, a draft decision on the proposed program of work and budget and on the medium-term strategy. L2, a draft decision on the management of trust funds and earmarked contributions. And L3, a draft decision on date and format for the resumed session of UNEA 5 and OACPR. I would like to thank all delegations for their active engagement and participation in a very constructive manner to the informal consultations that have taken place yesterday and today. So I believe we have already reached agreement on L2, and we are very close to reaching an agreement on L1. Unfortunately, we still need to have further consultations on L3, which is the draft decision on date and format for the resumed session of UNEA 5 and OACPR. We have gone through a first reading of the 3 draft decisions, and I would like to begin by considering the L2, which we have already agreed upon. May I ask that L2, draft decision on the management of trust funds and earmarked contributions, be placed on the screen so that we take action on it. Kindly, our writers, kindly put on screen L2, draft decision on the management of trust funds and earmarked contributions for action by the plenary of the OACPR.
raise your hand so I can open your screen. Can you pull it?
Zimbabwe, the meeting is still on. I kindly ask for some patience from delegations as we are encountering a little bit of a technical difficulty. So we are about to take action on L2. Distinguished delegations, while we wait for the technical difficulties to be solved, I'd just like to propose a way forward. It is my intention this evening to conclude and consideration on L2 and L1. I do sense that we still require some additional consultations and discussions on L3. So for that purpose, I plan to adjourn the plenary this evening once we've adopted these two draft decisions and reconvene tomorrow at 2 p.m. sharp so that we take action on the outstanding items on the agenda. We will hear the president of UNEA's briefing on his proposed message, which is an issue that is going to be brought to the attention of the OECPR under this agenda item. So my plan is also for us to reconvene in informal consultations at 9 a.m. tomorrow to look at the outstanding draft decision L3, which is related to date and format for the resumed session of UNEA 5. And my plan is for us to work from 9 to 12, perhaps even less than that if we conclude. But my plan is to conclude at noon, and then we would resume at 1:30 or 2 p.m. the plenary, so that we can adopt these decisions and continue to consider the other issues on our agenda. So this is the plan for tomorrow, and this is the plan for today. Are we good to go?
Let's go in first.
Thank you very much. Let's take benefit of the 45 minutes that we still have before us to move expeditiously forward in these important issues that are before us.
Okay. Yeah.
So L2 on the screen, please.
You can share the screen and open. It's broadcasting now.
Very well. Is it at all possible to have it in a little bigger size so delegations can? Oh yes, now we can. Yeah, it's big enough if you widen the screen.
Yeah, we'll try, but I suggest I just start.
Okay, so very well, distinguished delegations. So I think we have managed to solve the technical problems. You have before you in your screens L2, draft decision on the management of trust funds and earmarked contributions. If you are having a hard time looking at the text, I suggest you use the option of broadening the screen, which I have just done. May I ask if we are in a position to endorse draft decision L2 and recommend it for adoption by UNEA 5 as presented on the screen and has previously circulated in the PaperSmart portal. It is in the PaperSmart portal. It is before you. It was discussed in the OECPR yesterday informal consultations. May I ask if any delegation wishes to say anything? If not, then I would like to propose that we endorse this draft L2 and recommend it for adoption by UNEA 5 as presented in the PaperSmart and in the screen. I see no objection. It is so decided. Thank you very much for that. Now I would like to propose that we move to examine draft decision L1, which is titled Medium-Term Strategy for 2022-2025 and Program of Work and Budget for the Biennium 2022-2023. Could kindly this text be brought on the screen for consideration?
I'll make a comment here. Distinguished delegates, in order to better follow the text in the screen, I recommend that you expand the window there's a little icon that has 4 arrows, and if you are selecting the screen function, you will be able to see with better quality. Otherwise, the drafts are available in the PaperSmart portal. Thank you, Chair. Over to you.
The extensive discussions on these drafts, when we adjourned our informal consultations, agreement was pending on PP7 and on OP17 bis, ter, and bis alt. So I am happy to inform that while we were discussing the many important issues in plenary, intensive informal consultations were undertaken, and it gives me pleasure to propose for your consideration and hopefully a language that may draw the agreement of all delegations for PP7. So I am aware that we still need to clear a couple of brackets, but I would like that the PP7 Alt be put on the screen as my honest effort to breach differences in regards to this paragraph.
It's coming. They're putting it. Please proceed. Is that the text?
PP7, I don't see it. Having considered the proposed MTS for the periods and program of work.
Just a second.
Yes.
There it is.
Okay. Okay. As prepared by the executive director, it's difficult. Chair's compromise, please. It's not Brazil. It's my, although I am Brazilian, it is the chair's compromise based on the extensive consultations that have taken place in the course of the afternoon. Yes, the red may be not necessary at this moment. Having considered the proposed MTS and program of work as prepared by the executive director following consultations with the CPR, while recalling that some definitions and terminologies used are not intergovernmentally agreed and hence should not prejudge any future negotiations or agreements. Can I take it that this language is agreeable to all delegations?
Yes. No comments.
No comments. Please indicate agreement and please remove previous PP7. Thank you for all delegations that were involved in this effort to come to this understanding regarding this important preambular paragraph. Now, I did invite the distinguished delegations of the Russian Federation and of the European Union to consult and perhaps propose some common language in regards to the three outstanding operational paragraphs that we have. May I ask if the Russian Federation or the European Union may kindly take the floor and hopefully bring us good news in regards to these informal consultations that have hopefully brought us to a successful understanding that may be brought to the consideration of member states. And I now would like to ask if Russia, yes, or EU,
Yeah.
Russian Federation, please, you have the floor.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Mr. Chairman. In fact, yes. In fact, sorry. In fact, we have consulted with the European Union, and we have come to an agreement. And the text, mutually agreeable text, is supposed to be arriving to your DPR at this moment from the European Union. And hopefully this will close our work on on the 3 outstanding paragraphs. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very good news. I see that the text is already being given to the Secretariat.
It's there. I understand it's OP 17.
Okay, thank you very much. So may I just confirm that the understanding and the convergence reached between Russia and the European Union are on the screen and are indicated as OP17 bis and OP17 ter. Requests that the executive director in UNEP's recruitment strategy pay due regard to the principle of equitable geographic distribution in accordance with Article 101, Paragraph 3 of the Charter of the United Nations, and submits a comprehensive report on human resources to be considered at the resumed session of UNEA 5. Maybe there, yes, that is the language for OP17 bis, and OP17 ter would be further requests the executive director to undertake further action to ensure gender balance and parity in its recruitment strategy in line with the UN-wide strategy on gender parity. This would entail deletion of the 3 previous paragraphs, OP 17 bis, OP 17 ter, and OP 17 bis alt. The first OP 17 bis. Yes. Is that the understanding? Please, could the Russian Federation confirm this?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, colleagues, may I propose that we adopt 17 bis and OP 17 ter as I have just read and is contained on the screen, and that we delete OP 17 bis, OP 17 ter, and OP 17 bis alt, the original OP 17 bis. There is a little bit of confusion, but it is the first OP 17 bis, which is request that in recruiting professional staff, UK, the executive director, blah, blah, blah. So can I take it that there is agreement in the OECPR plenary to accept these proposed amendments as read and presented on the screen? Does there any delegation wishes to speak? Egypt, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if you can hear and see me. I welcome this approach in principle, but I just wanted further clarification from you, just in terms of what would be deleted here. So you're saying that the 3 top paragraphs would be deleted, and then we would just have OP 17 bis and OP 17 ter at the bottom of the screen. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think that we can go along with this proposed way forward, and thank you to both the EU and, of course, the Russian Federation for proposing this way forward.
Thank you. Since I have no other delegation requesting for the floor, I would like to kindly request the pre-seat writers to delete these 3 paragraphs. That now brings me to if we could just scroll back up to the text. So we can adopt this. So I take it that we can now, sorry. Apologies. Yes, can I take it that we can then remove the brackets from the title and all the other bracketed text by Russia? Russia, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. Yes, we can lift the brackets from the text, from the title, on the understanding that the text of MTS has been amended orally in accordance with the texts that we have received this morning. If we have this certitude, then we agree to lifting all the brackets throughout the document.
Yes, thank you for that, Russia Ambassador, for your intervention. I would like to ask that the Secretariat provide the necessary assurances as you have just requested.
Thank you, Chair. This is just to confirm that as stated in the note circulated early this morning on behalf of the Executive Director, informing that in accordance with the rules of procedure, Executive Director was making a number of technical amendments. The documents, a program of work and budget and medium-term strategy for the United Nations Environment program issued under symbol UNEP/EA.5/3, and its annex will be revised and circulated to member states, posted in the Paper Smart portal with the revisions that my note indicate, and therefore those are already you can consider them as valid and contained in the document. We will just inform that there will be a star, a little asterisk that will reflect the new symbol of the document that will be issued for technical reasons and will replace the previous document that was circulated to member states.
Thank you for that important clarification. I see a thumbs up from the Russian ambassador. So we will lift the brackets. Let us just make sure that there is no outstanding bracket on the text, that the title has been accepted. It seems that we have now removed this. Yes, thank you. Yes, everything is agreed there. Yes, there again. A comma there, please remove that comma there. Good. Please continue. Yes, yes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. Please scroll down, please. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We will adjust the numbers, remove all these ters and bises, and agree that ref. Yes. Agreed at ref. Thank you. And good. So, very well. We have now come to an agreement on L1, medium-term strategy for 2022-2025, and program of work and budget for the biennium 2022-2023. May I take it that the plenary of the OECPR is in a position to agree to L1 and recommend it for adoption by UNEA 5 as we have just amended and agreed upon.
No request.
No request for the floor. It is so decided. Thank you. Just 1 second. So, colleagues, thank you very much. I've just consulted with the Secretariat, so we can continue for another hour or so. And I will then now like to propose again.
20 minutes because
Yeah, so the interpreters are going to leave.
in 30 minutes. No,
We have 30 minutes of interpretation, so that's brilliant. So I would like now to propose that we continue consideration of L3, draft decision on date and format for the resumed session of UNEA 5 and OECPR 5. We have had the opportunity to have the second reading of that draft, and we will, of course, continue this important consultations tomorrow if we are not able in the next hour to conclude them. I am quite hopeful that we will be able to do that, which will really help us a lot in planning for the last plenary session tomorrow afternoon, which is scheduled for 2 p.m. Ahead of the 4 p.m. Joint Bureau meeting. So let's benefit from this fabulous atmosphere of very constructive spirit and move to the consideration of L3. If kindly we could put on the screen. Oh, it's already there. You're faster than me. Thank you very much. So we have an agreement on the title. We are okay with PP1. We are fine with PP2. Could you kindly scroll down? Okay. We have now some doubts in regards to I think we are only we can move directly to OP3, and OP3, you will recall we had OP3, which was originally supported by the Russian Federation and objected by the African group and by the European Union and its member states, and by Brazil. And there was an OP3 alt, which had quite a lot of support. So, looking at the proverbial flexibility of the Russian Federation, may I ask whether we could work on the basis of OP3 alt? Can I kindly request Russian Federation to consider the possibility of working on OP3 alt?
Sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Yes, the proverbial flexibility of Russia is confirmed. We can work on OP alt. Thank you.
That's very kind of you. So let's delete OP3 and work on OP3 alt. So here we have OP3 alt. There were some concerns expressed in regards to the second section of this So may I ask whether we can agree to this paragraph stopping at UNEA, calls upon member states with support of the Secretariat. Wait, I can't see the last part of the text. Yes, so calls upon member states with support of the Secretariat as appropriate to continue joint efforts to strengthen actions for nature to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and to follow up on relevant mandates from previous sessions of the United Nations Environment Assembly. Is this language acceptable, stopping there? We've heard many arguments. Is this something that you could live with? The floor is open. Okay, it seems to be the case. Oh, South Africa on behalf of the African group. Please, South Africa, you have the floor.
Made that the draft ends at Environment Assembly. I'm not sure if you heard everything I said. Thank you, Chair.
No, I didn't. Please repeat.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And on behalf of the African group, we just wish to agree with the suggestion that you have just made, that this paragraph ends at Environment Assembly.
Thank you very much for your flexibility. I'm losing my French. Yes. Any other delegation requesting for the floor? Can we clear the text then, please? Remove the brackets. Agreed at ref. Thank you for that. Okay. Move to OP4. Here we have brackets on takes note of the reports of the ED and decides to review these reports at the annual subcommittee in 2021 and defer action on these reports to the resumed session of the Assembly. Yes, here we have different perspectives. Can we live without these controversial references there, and decides to defer action on these reports to the resumed session of the Assembly in February 2022 as originally reflected on the text? Switzerland, you have the floor.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can proceed.
Thank you very much. We laid out yesterday diligently why we see this as a intermediate step, as an important step towards effectively using the intersessional period. So this was a very practical element that we wanted to include to make better use of these many important documents that the Secretariat is producing. So we'd like to retain this insertion, and we see also from the perspective of supporting nations and groups here, even that there is a large interest in maintaining that intermediate step to make better use of the intersessional period. So at this point, we'd like to retain this insertion. Thank you.
Just to clarify, we understand that Swiss is not deleting, but insisting on this on this reference. So we have the Swiss supported by the African groups, supported by the EU, and we have a reservation from Brazil. So could who? Yes. So could you clarify, Brazil, your reservation, so that we can find a way out, and if you have any alternative, please, Brazil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Regarding the proposal that Switzerland had made for OP4, we would like to recall our comments made yesterday that sending these reports to be examined by the annual subcommittee doesn't seem feasible for our delegation for at least two reasons. The first one of them being the annual subcommittee this year will have to examine a PPR that would encompass a period of 18 months and is therefore supposed to be a very in-depth discussion. And if we flood the agenda of the annual subcommittee with all these reports, we would suck away the oxygen for the interactive debate that we have always been calling for in the annual subcommittee in the issues of review and oversight. This is the first point. The second point is that the argument that has been put forward by Switzerland, while can be positive when you're looking just at this annual subcommittee, we have to take in mind that it is just because we decided to do a UNIA in two steps extraordinarily this year that we already have the reports at hand. It will not be possible for the annual subcommittee ahead of UNIA 6, ahead of UNIA 7, ahead of UNIA 8 to already have before it the reports to consider before the respective assemblies. So it would be creating an unwarranted expectation on the reporting lines for the future assemblies, and therefore we think that this approach is not sustainable. We have, however, heard, of course, not only the original proponents of this paragraph, but also the support that it received from others, and it's indicated here by the European Union and the African Group. This is why we would like to offer an additional or an alternative proposal, which we hope that our colleagues from Switzerland and others can work on. And it would read, in the middle of the paragraph, as we read, as set out in the annex to this decision, comma, and then it will continue now, and this is the new assertion for the screenwriters, requests the CPR to further examine these reports with a view to taking action on them. And then it would continue with the original rest of the paragraph, which is the resumed session of the Assembly on the 28th of February 2022. So our idea is to make clear that it would not necessarily be the annual subcommittee, but rather the CPR, of course, in a moment where the CPR itself can set its own agenda based on its own workflow as it leads up to UNIA 5.2, that it would be examining these reports. I trust that this is a constructive contribution to this debate, and I'm looking forward to see what other delegations are going to say on this. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your constructive approach. I hope this text draws support from the proponents of the original text, as it is very close to the original proposal. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From our perspective, the idea that Switzerland is trying to put forward is that to give a moment of reflection at one point in time prior to UNEA 5.2 where draft resolutions are actually there or in the making, and to create a specific moment where we would look at those reports at the time when there is a critical mass of delegations present, including colleagues from headquarters. So I'm afraid that the proposal by Brazil, as well-meaning as it is, and we thank him for that, doesn't really sort of adequately reflect what the intention of the Swiss proposal, as we understood it, was. And therefore, we would prefer very much to have the original language as proposed by Switzerland to create a moment for the reviewing of these reports at the annual subcommittee meeting in 2021. So I think that doesn't take away the possibility for the CPR and its subcommittees in the course of the year to look at those things. That's within the purview of the CPR, I think. But I think we need to create a specific expectations, in particular, since we have heard in the presentation on the ED report this morning, or earlier today, speaking from here, that there will be some updates possibly made to some of those reports in view of things that may happen in the course of the year. So if there are changes to this OP4, we'd rather stick with the changes as proposed by Switzerland and supported by the African group and ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, EU. There seems to be, is there any other delegation requesting for the floor? No. There does not seem to be any. It seems that we are now in a position, well, we have at the moment strong support for the Swiss proposal. So may I ask whether Brazil can show flexibility and agree to the proposal by Switzerland, supported by the African group and the European Union? Brazil.
Waiting for streaming. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, again, I would just like to state that our delegation submitted yesterday our comments on why we were not comfortable with this language, and we have not really heard from the original proponents of this language why they think, for instance, that they would not draw away energy from the annual subcommittee meeting. We, however, are ready to exercise flexibility in this paragraph. We thought our proposal was being constructive. Our concern remains on ensuring a constructive and interactive dialogue during the annual subcommittee. Our delegation at this stage will be exercising flexibility on OP4, but we would like it to be noted that we remain concerned with the fact that the agenda of the annual subcommittee could be flooded with reports that are extraordinarily before it this year, and that would diminish the possibility of interaction between the Secretariat and member states on the issues of the PPR and oversight, which are at the heart of the proper function of this specific meeting of the CPR that we call the annual subcommittee meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brazil, for your flexibility. With that, in that spirit, I would like to clear this paragraph as well, and greatly appreciate your demonstration of flexibility. So we will clear the brackets and decides to review these reports at the annual subcommittee and defer actions. So we will retain. So you can delete that. Remove the brackets there and decides to review these reports and defer action on these reports. To, the English here is a bit awkward. Defer action on these reports to the resumed session. You cannot defer action on these reports at the resumed session. So, okay, so there will be a review and that action will be taken at UNEA. That is what drew support from a number of delegations and that Brazil showed flexibility to live with. Thank you very much. So that moves us to OP5, decides that, wait, please. Yes, let me take this out. Yes, we are now on OP5. We have OP5 decides that UNEA shall, at its resumed fifth session, finalize implementation of the mandate entrusted to it by General Assembly 73/333 of August the 30th to prepare a political declaration for a United Nations high-level meeting. Then we have another OP5 bis further recommends the adoption of such a declaration at a special session / high-level event of the UNEA Assembly to commemorate the 50th anniversary and invites the GA to approve this recommendation, supported by a number of delegations and objected by another group of delegations. And we also have, could you scroll down a little bit, because we also have an African text. The African text was circulated yesterday. It would be useful if we have it on the screen. Can you kindly put it on the screen, as it is a proposal by a significant number of delegations? Okay, let's, while we're working on this, I have the EU requesting for the floor. Please proceed, EU.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a clarification to ask on how we deal with those two paragraphs. So do I understand that both OP5 and OP5 bis are now open for comments, or are you, because they belong together, or are you going to take it paragraph by paragraph? Thank you.
EU, thank you for your question. I think they are mutually exclusive unless some delegation wishes to look at them in conjunction. We have three approaches to this issue. One is the original formula that was in the text and is supported by Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and South Africa. I do see that South Africa has supported this, so I take it that it would be complementary to the African Union text. I see that OP5 bis is supported by European Union, Canada, Costa Rica, and the United States, and objected by Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and South Africa. So I do see that there is a kind of a different perspective here. But I am in the hands of member states.
EU again. EU is requesting for the floor.
Yes, so we are going to lose interpretation very soon. So let's continue in English. I think we are making very good progress. So I would like to give the floor back to the EU. I hope I helped. I'm not sure I did.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, you did, and thank you for clarifying that indeed, in your view as well, the different proposals regarding to the fulfillment of the mandate given to UNEA by UNGA Resolution 73/333 are all interconnected. As a matter of fact, from our perspective, 5 and 5 bis are not mutually exclusive, because otherwise it would have been 5 alt. So I think that from our perspective, either the African group language or the language that is there before is actually a confirmation that UNEA is committed to fulfill the mandate that has been given to it by the United Nations General Assembly. And I think that we all agree that it would be an act of high political importance should UNEA decide to tell the UNGA that they don't wish to fulfill the mandate in that regard. So I think we have no problem with that one. I think what we actually need to look at is, from our perspective, very much what we actually want to do and how we want to use the important events that we are planning for 2022 to highlight the importance and the visibility of UNEP and UNEA internationally. And I think that from our perspective, it's linked to our discussions on UNEP plus 50 at 50. And I think that from our perspective, adopting the political declaration following 73/333 that would be finalized by UNEA 5, as requested by the resolution, will actually greatly underline the significance of the UNEP at 50 anniversary commemoration event. In particular, as recognized by other member states, given that the issues to be addressed in the declaration align very well with the ambitions expressed and supported for UNEP at 50, strengthening UNEP, strengthening the environmental governance and environmental law and its implementation, and enhancing the science policy interface. So therefore, the high-level event that we are yet to agree could include both the element of underlining achievement challenges ahead and commemoration in a format that could be led by the UNEA 6 presidency. I think that's one thing that you can discuss. That may feature high-level representatives of all regions, stakeholders, and international organizations, and adopt thereby the declaration. And I think that would also ensure that the declaration would be adopted in Nairobi as headquarters for UNEP and being the environmental capital of the world, because otherwise, if we don't link it to such a high-level event, it may actually revert back to New York. So I think it would be a matter of looking after the profile of UNEP and related governing bodies to make that recommendation to UNGA. And I think that in that way, we actually secure already at this point in time that we can do it in conjunction with the UNEP at 50 commemoration next year. And I think that making that recommendation to UNGA actually means that it actually becomes very easy at the latter part of this year to put that through the General Assembly machinery by way of including it in the report on UNEA 5.1 to UNGA in that regard. So I think that really, from our point of view, it is quite important to clarify that now. And I think there are very good arguments which are all based on the fact that we want to give the highest possible visibility for UNEP at 50 commemorations and the best possible space for UNEP in the overall set of events that mark its 50th anniversary. So I think I hope that I've clarified where we're coming from, in the sense that we want to work with all delegations that want to ensure the maximum impact and visibility of the events in February, March 2022. And I think we can combine the confirmation that the UNEA Assembly at its fifth session will actually finalize the mandate given to it by UNGA, but also then already secure that UNGA gives ahead of 2022 the mandate to the high-level event that will actually mark UNEP at 50 to adopt the declaration at this occasion. And I think in that sense, we are ready to work with others either on OP5 or on OP5 Alt, because I think both are possibly basis for the confirmation of our willingness to continue to accept the mandate given by UNGA to UNEA, but also complemented with a clear recommendation that we already know the way forward on how and where we would want to have that declaration adopted. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you to the European Union. Before I continue with my list of speakers, I would like to thank the interpreters for their good work and look forward to continuing to count on your support tomorrow when we resume in plenary session to hopefully conclude our work. So thank you all. Have a safe evening. And now I have Brazil followed by South Africa. Brazil, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, sorry for this. Mr. Chairman, thank you for giving me the floor on OP5. And we just heard our colleague from the European Union present the rationale for their proposal, and we're very thankful for them to build the case for what they have put on the table. I would say that my delegation agrees with a lot of what has been said by the European Union in terms of identifying that UNEP at 50, the celebration to be held here in Nairobi, sounds like an appropriate occasion to adopt the political declaration that we have mandated ourselves to prepare through General Assembly Resolution 73/333. While my delegation continues to see positively the adoption of this declaration at UNEP at 50, we cannot forget the fact that as of now, we're not ready to take this decision because there are important pieces of the equation of the events to be held in 2022 that are not yet defined. We do not have a clear picture of all high-level meetings to take place in 2022. As we know, the General Assembly had just started consultations on a possible enabling resolution for a possible conference in Stockholm. And the General Assembly has to have an opportunity to review that. and then only then we will have a clearer idea of which high-level events we're going to have in 2022, and then we're going to see all the landing strips where we can land this political declaration. Again, it is, from our vantage point, a question of taking the decision at the appropriate timing. And this does not seem to be the timing for that. So I thank our colleague from the EU for building the case. It's for us just a matter of understanding that it's not the moment to take this decision. This is why our preference, Mr. Chairman, would be to retain OP5 in its original formulation, which seems pretty simple, straightforward, and indicating what is expected from UNIA 5.1 in terms of 73/333. We have seen the language proposed by the African group that adds language to that, but since it is a language that is inspired directly from 17.3/333, that does not seem problematic for us, even though we would prefer a much more streamlined version on this paragraph so as not to create unnecessary noises on this process that it's currently ongoing under the able leadership of the PRs of Estonia and Pakistan. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brazil, South Africa, followed by Cameroon.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. And I'm making this intervention on behalf of the African group. Allow me, Chair, to first clarify why we have given this OP5 alt as the group. You may have noted that initially, before even the beginning of the OECPR, we had indicated our wish to maintain language that is already agreed upon when deliberating on this matter. This is, Chairperson, of course, to avoid the urge to further interpret what has already been agreed. So in this regard, we have proposed this language directly from UNGA 73/333, and we also share, just as the EU has indicated, that UNEA remains indeed committed to its mandate. Chairperson, we in this regard wish to delete the proposal that has been made in OP5 bis, because just as Brazil has indicated, we believe that we should continue discussions on this matter. It has been indicated that during the agenda item 7 that we will have our second consultative meeting on the UNGA 73/333 process. So we would like to just request for this opportunity to take place so that as member states, we are very clear and on the same line as to where we are in terms of taking this issue forward. And Chairperson, as we are also engaging on the outcome of UNEP 50, we need to be clear that the agenda of UNGA 73/333 and our vision on UNEP 50 are aligned. So in this regard, we would like to maintain the language that has already been agreed. And of course, we remain committed to further discussions on our mandate as given as UNEA, and also to ensure that the process remains inclusive, consultative, and that as member states, we move really on the same line. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. I have now 3 delegations on my list: Cameroon, followed by Egypt, followed by the United Kingdom. Cameroon.
Cameroon, kindly raise your hand again. We lost your request. There you are. Let's try.
We're having a hard time giving you the floor, Cameroon, so I will return to you in a moment. Let's continue with Egypt while we're trying to sort out the technical difficulties with Cameroon. Egypt, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would first of all like to align my delegation's intervention with the one delivered by South Africa on behalf of the African Group. We also recognize and appreciate some of the points that were raised by our colleague from Brazil just now regarding the lack of clarity still at this point regarding the calendar of events, the high-level events that will take place in 2022. And hence, we believe that at this stage, it would be a rushed decision to try to conclude on where the final outcome of 73/333 will land. Having said that, Mr. Chair, we believe that the competent intercessional body, which we all belong to, of course, which is the CPR, is well equipped to continue to consider this matter during the intercessional period and before the resumption of UNIA 5 in 2022. Whereby the picture can be a lot clearer in our deliberations and our discussions, and then we can reach a more informed decision once various pieces of the puzzle have come together. And of course, what the African Group has just expressed regarding the need to have further clarity on what the event of UNEP at 50 itself, of how it will shape up, of what the envisaged outcomes for it will be, and of course also taking into consideration that the other events that will take place have yet to sort of fully crystallize. So I think that keeping in mind all of the points that were raised by the African Group, we feel that it is best at this stage to retain the language from the resolution we are considering, of course, 73/333, which we believe is reflected in OP5 alt. And by this merit, I think we can further digest and consider a lot of the options that we have. And of course, once we have also had the chance to have the subsequent deliberations and informal consultations on the said resolution, as was outlined by our two able co-facilitators. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I have UK.
Thank you, Chair. The United Kingdom supports the proposed text in both OP5 and BIS OP5, which helps to bring a degree of clarity which has eluded us thus far on this issue. We are grateful for the efforts made thus far by the co-facilitators to ensure that the process undertaken to help fulfill the mandate under Resolution 7333 is progressed in a timely and inclusive manner. But with the introduction of a date for the adoption of the political declaration, we must also clarify how we will prepare it so that we actually have a political declaration to adopt. To that end, we would urge further considerations and consultations as appropriate, possibly through a special session to ensure preparations can be completed at UNEA 5.2 a year from now, in line with our mandate under UNGA Resolution 7333. We are mindful that whilst informal consultations are important, there is no substitute for formal negotiations, and we believe these must take place in advance of UNEA 5.2. If we are to allow colleagues on all sides to fully express their views, whilst also allowing space for successful UNEA 5.2. To minimise disruption and the need for additional travel by all parties, we propose that negotiations on the political declaration, which we are mandated by Resolution 73333 to prepare in the 5th session of UNEA, should take place in person in a special session in the days before UNEA 5.2. We feel that this would be the least resource-intensive approach, while also facilitating open and inclusive negotiations, which will deliver a political declaration in line with our mandate. We'll be open to suggestions from colleagues if there are better ways of providing some clarity for our preparations on this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, UK. So now we have Cameroon followed by the EU, and I will try to perhaps offer some ideas as to how we can proceed further. Cameroon followed by EU.
Unfortunately, we will have to work on Cameroon's connection, and we will ensure that Cameroon is allowed and able to intervene.
Very good. EU, Cameroon, please convey your message in written form so we don't lose it as we move ahead. Please, EU.
By several delegations of the need to, or the absence of the need to define the institutional landing zone for the political declaration at 5.2. I think it is clear that due to the situation we're in, we are not fulfilling the mandate that has been given to us by UNGA 73333. So in any case, in this year, we need to go back to the General Assembly to report on that one. Now, I think that it is, and I think that it should be clear to anybody, that this needs to be in the outcome of UNEA 5.1, and this is the decision where it should be dealt with. And from our point of view, as has been said by others, it is important to have an endorsement by the General Assembly that we go in that direction. So I do not believe that has been said by my Egyptian colleague, that it is up to the CPR to define that in the second half of this year, because then there is no way of formally communicating with the General Assembly of the UN, because there will then not be an outcome of UNEA 5.1 that can be officially translated to transmitted to the General Assembly. The mandate has not been given to the CPR, the mandate has been given to UNEA. And I think that is one of the reasons why we think we need to fix that now, to be on safe ground, to be able to finalize it at the 5th session and to move forward to adoption at this high-level event of the United Nations General Assembly that we will be discussing, I think, in more detail later on in the text. So I think it's fairly clear that there is a procedural requirement for us to deal with that here and not to leave that completely open as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that. I believe we will need to perhaps refresh our memory in regards to the status of the current consultations that are being undertaken within the framework of the CPR by the by the two co-facilitators that are fortunately here with us, and I see, of course, Mr. Adolomus that is here with us, and I hope I did not. Some of the interventions that were made were even perhaps proposing a different way forward, and I think we have spent a lot of time on that, and we agreed to go ahead in the manner that we agreed with the two co-facilitators, and we thank them for their hard work, and we look forward to the meeting scheduled for June. Hopefully, by then we will have been able to meet in presential form. So I think we would definitely benefit from clarification from our legal advisor in regards to how we are proceeding to fulfill the mandate received from 73/333. So I would kindly ask if our legal advisor could refresh our memory in regards to the status of these consultations as agreed by the bureaus and as it has been moving forward under the able co-facilitation of the High Commissioner of Pakistan and the Permanent Representative of Estonia. Mr. Legal Advisor Stadler, please, can you help us? You have the floor.
I'd like to reiterate the language as is contained in General Assembly Resolution 73/333. It is in the final part of the resolution under the chapeau further work. It says in paragraph B, forward these recommendations to the United Nations Environment Assembly for its consideration and to prepare at its 5th session in February 2021 a political declaration for a United Nations high-level meeting. And then the text goes on. So in answer to questions that have been raised by delegates, action is needed here at 5.2 to clarify that preparations for the political declaration will be finalized at UNEA 5.2. Now, in brief, Mr. Chairman, what happened with respect to the history of the process was that upon the adoption of General Assembly Resolution 73/333, there were discussions in Nairobi, and there were also discussions in the joint bureau meeting of the Committee of Permanent Representatives and the United Nations Environment Assembly on a proposed roadmap ahead. And that proposed roadmap that was prepared by the Secretariat and then endorsed by the bureaus and ultimately the CPR charted a way ahead. The first point about that roadmap was that two co-facilitators were appointed by you, Mr. Chairman, and the presidency, and that was His Excellency Mr. Adolomus and Ambassador Saklen, and that set out an informal consultative process that actually, Mr. Chairman, had been based upon several questionnaires that had been prepared by the Secretariat and sent out by the Secretariat, and then we subsequently received the responses. And then on that basis, the roadmap was prepared, the co-facilitators were appointed, and then the first informal substantive consultation on Resolution 73/333 was held virtually in July 2020. The purpose of the first meeting was to initiate discussions and preparations for the draft declaration. That happened. There were those substantive informal consultations under the leadership of our two co-facilitators, and indeed documentation was prepared by the Secretariat on the implementation of the recommendations as set out in 73/333, because there were 13 substantive recommendations as contained in that resolution. So discussions were held in July 2020, and then it was agreed that the co-facilitators would prepare a document on elements for the building blocks of the draft declaration, and the co-facilitators circulated a first draft of those building blocks on the 7th of October 2020. The second informal substantive consultation was originally scheduled for the 3rd to the 5th of November 2020. However, at the co-facilitator's request, and as also recommended by the 7th Annual Subcommittee of the CPR Bureau decided on the 23rd of October 2020 to postpone the second informal substantive consultation to a date to be further defined in June 2021. And we understand that that's now going to be the middle of June 2021, with a view to allow for in-person consultations during that time, i.e. in June 2021. However, the letter of 7th of October 2020 did set out draft elements, and subsequently the co-chair circulated a letter which set out a roadmap ahead for those informal consultations, to which reference was made in the intervention by the two co-facilitators. It is therefore envisaged that member states will consult informally. The deadline for the submission of written comments will be the 15th of March 2021, and then there will be a revised document prepared by the co-facilitators that will be shared in advance of their meeting, which will probably occur between the 15th to the 17th of June 2021. So, Mr. Chairman, I just wish to reiterate that this process is on the move. There are draft elements out there prepared by the co-facilitators, and we have a very clear roadmap ahead through the informal substantive consultations under the very able leadership of our two co-chairs. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding us of those important milestones and elements in our deliberations, which have indeed happened in the manner that you have described. So thank you for that. I think now we can proceed with our list of speakers. I have Kenya, followed by Egypt. Kenya, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chair. I hope to be very brief on this issue. Already I've spoken through the African group, and also colleagues in the group have also supported what Amanda said, because we have discussed this issue in view of the recent developments. And let me also thank the co-facilitators, because they have kept us briefed on this issue, and they have given us all the developments that have been going on in the group. Now, in view of what has been said now by the legal advisor, it is very clear that the process is on course, it is ongoing. We are ready to discuss this 73/333. We want to go ahead and make the best decision, so that for the benefit of our organization, and also to learn to give a good feedback to UNGA. However, it is very clear now that this time is not the right time. We do not have all the information to make the decision that we are being asked to make at this point. Probably what we are going to do, and Amanda may have mentioned that, is to recognize that we do not have that information right now. And so, since the resolution says on the 5th session of UNEA in 2021, February 2021, and now we are not about to finish that session of UNEA, we are going to have UNEA 5.2, we need probably to recognize that in this OP5, and then continue the consultations so that we can be able to get all the facts to make a correct decision. This is an important decision, and it has serious implications for our organizations in terms of strengthening, and we would want to land it when we have all the information. So we are together, we agree a lot. I see a lot of convergence even with EU and other delegations, including the UK, but then we need a little bit more time, and we are ready to continue this consultation. Thank you very much, Chair. I hope this is a little bit more clear. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was very clear, Kenya. So I would like to really try to conclude the consideration of this important item. We have, I believe, no delegation has objected to OP5. No delegation has objected to OP5 out, which I sense from the support by many African delegations that they would be complementary. So indeed, we would have OP5 and what is described as OP5 out as an additional paragraph. But we, however, do have some doubts in taking the step that is proposed by some delegations, EU supported by a number of other delegations, and therefore I would like to try and wrap this discussion up and hopefully agree on a text that is possible at this stage in light of the many comments that we have heard, and with that I would like to move to Egypt, followed by USA, followed by Switzerland, followed by Canada, followed by the EU. It's getting late. I would like to close, at least that we hopefully can agree on this before we adjourn this evening. Yes, I now call on Egypt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I hope you can hear me. I would like to thank Ambassador McKenna, the permanent representative of Kenya, for her intervention just now, and just to say that we fully concur, and of course with the original statement delivered on behalf of the African Group by South Africa. And I just wanted to come back on a comment from our EU colleague regarding the CPR and the role of the CPR. Just to clarify to our colleague that our intention in what we said was that the CPR is the one that is implementing the mandate that has been entrusted to UNIA in the intercessional period, as we have been doing and as we will continue to do until the conclusion of this mandate. And speaking of the mandate itself, it's quite clear from the language of the mandate in 73/333 that UNIA has been entrusted with preparing the political declaration, which is what we are working towards now in terms of having a draft. But in no way, shape, or form have we been entrusted with a decision on where the final high-level event that is alluded to, or that is mentioned in the resolution, should take place. And given, as many colleagues from the group have stated, and as most recently as the ambassador of Kenya, as the permanent representative rather of Kenya has said, it's quite clear that we do not yet have all the information on which to even make a proposal to move forward, because it's quite clear that the capacity that we have in the confines of Resolution 73/333 would only be to recommend, if even that, at this stage. So in light of all of that, we believe that the best way forward, as you have just said, Mr. Chair, is to try to encapsulate all of the points in OP5 and OP5 alt, perhaps into a single paragraph, that is really quite factual in nature, and that says that UNIA 5 Part 2 will be where we can consider and fulfill the mandate that has been entrusted to UNIA by the United Nations General Assembly. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Egypt. I have 4 more speakers on my list. I have been advised that we have to vacate the premises very soon, so I would like to appeal to delegations for brevity. We have heard several times the arguments. It is clear that we still are not in a position to go that extra mile as proposed by a number of delegations. So I would appeal that we try to find the common ground as we have done in previous paragraphs and in the 2 decisions that we have gaveled this evening, so that we can close the consultations tonight on a positive tone and agree on a way forward in regards to this particular OP. I have now US, followed by Switzerland, followed by Canada, followed by EU, and I will close the list. Yes, USA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your stamina has been very impressive, as has your leadership. Thank you very much for moving us along. I take the floor very briefly to move the ball forward. First, as you know, yesterday we took the floor to support the EU proposal because we appreciated the very helpful light that it shined on the 333 landing zone. But it's clear today that consensus is not close at hand on that landing zone. So what we're willing to do is to revert to OP5 and support that, and noting that we would expect to finalize a recommendation on the event where 333 would be adopted. Finally, Mr. Chairman, we really, I'm afraid to say, object strongly to OP5 alt because of the language about continuing to prepare. What we appreciate about OP5 proper is the emphasis on finalizing the mandate at 5.2. Thank you very much.
Thanks, US, for your constructive intervention. I now recognize Switzerland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thank US for the comments, which we in general would echo. As we're reading the 3 paragraphs here, we understand that OP5, OP5 bis, and OP5 alt are all of them alternatives. We do not read the 2nd paragraph to be an additional one, and we also see that OP5 alt has a different proposal than OP5 does, for example. We read that OP5 is about to finalizing implementation at UNIA 5. OP5 bis is about, in addition, defining the exact landing zone for it. And OP5 alt gives us the opportunity to continue and not finalize the implementation of the mandate. This is how we read the 3 paragraphs. And we are, for us, it's important to adhere to the careful language that we had set out in the 73-333 process. And we also take note of the comments made by the legal advisor that work has moved or is in move. And we also noted that we have made already progress on advancing on a concrete language with a 0 draft elements paper already on the table. We are confident that we can move forward with this content. And in that light, we also had proposed ahead of UNIA 5.1 that actually 5.1 could be even a possibility to conclude on this. As we are now looking to 5.2, we believe that OP5 is the right paragraph, as it's defining the end of this mandate for UNEA at least, and that we want to conclude at UNEA 5 in a resumed session with that. So we will be supporting UK and US and the others in keeping OP5, and we could not at this point support OP5 alt, as it would entail that we continue the deliberations maybe beyond UNEA, the resumed session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. I would like to propose a way forward, but before doing that, I still have two delegations, and really we have to conclude, as we have to vacate the grounds at the request of UNON. So Canada and you, very briefly, we have heard the arguments, so I hope we can start converging on a common and agreeable language. Quickly, Canada, EU, and UK, and I'm closing the list.
Canada, kindly raise your hand. I think we lost your intervention.
Okay, we are coming back to you, Canada. EU, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the colleagues who have engaged so diligently on this conversation at the late hour of the day. It's not only you, Mr. Chairman, who has stamina, but all the colleagues that have worked till the early hours today to look for consensus. And I think that, as we have seen with the decisions that we approved today, sometimes, as they say in French, la nuit porte conseil. So I think that we are probably well advised to ponder a little bit the different arguments that have come forward and revert to it, I think, as we will tomorrow morning. Now, just to clarify our stand on the different paragraphs and perhaps react to some of the assumptions that colleagues have made. Now, for us, OP5, as originally proposed, and OP5 bis are not alternatives. They can stand next to each other. OP5 and OP5 alt are alternatives. For us, and I think we have always said so, and you can add us to the list, we are happy with OP5 to stand. So that is not in our discussion, and I think that very much confirms our willingness to fulfill the mandate given to us by UNGA, by the fifth session of UNEA 5, of UNEA. Now, OP5 bis is a different nature. It actually says what we suggest to the UNGA to happen. I understand there are people who are saying, in principle agrees, but it's too early to say, and the others saying, well, we don't know, there's so many uncertainties. We've listened to that, but I think I'm already telling you, Mr. Chairman, that at this point, the EU and its member states are not willing to let go of this paragraph. I think we need to conclude a further reading of this decision to get the complete picture, because there are certain things that are not clear in the overall architecture of this decision, so that we actually could look at it in the light of further discussions on other operative paragraphs, and then perhaps to revert to that question tomorrow in the course of our further consultations. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that comment. In light of your comment and that we have had many delegations, actually unanimous support for OP5, can I take it that the OECPR can agree a draft to OP5? I see no objection. Please reflect that on the screen.
South Africa. Oops.
South Africa? Yes, South Africa, please, you have the floor.
Again, reiterate.
Please repeat.
Okay, can you hear me now, Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor again. I just wanted to indicate what we had said earlier as the group as to the reason why we have called for the use of agreed language. The reason why we have called for the use of agreed language is not, Chair, in any way to try and change it or to weaken the mandate that we have. However, it's just for us to be in line with what has already been agreed. We are going to, of course, look at our proposal based on how delegations have read it, as indicated by the delegation of Switzerland and the delegation of the EU and the delegation of the US, so that it is clear that our proposal is really meant to ensure that we use agreed language. I'm not going to comment further on the proposal on the issue of the special session, but will just indicate that we are ready to continue the discussions leading up to our morning session during the informal consultations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yes, it is clear that we will need further reflection on OP5 bis as proposed by the EU and the OP5 alt, which will stay there until further consideration. But unless I hear any objection, I hope we can agree to OP5. I would like to conclude consideration. Please indicate if you agree with my proposal or not, and then we can adjourn. We have really to get out of here because of UNON. The lights are going to be turned off very soon. So please, Canada, help us get to our cars. Okay, UK, same request.
I will keep this brief. I would like to be clear that the excellent work of the co-facilitators is not in question, and we applaud their efforts. We understand, however, that in accordance with Rule 5 of the Rules of Procedure, UNEA may take a decision to hold a special session. I would welcome clarity on this from the legal advisor tomorrow morning. We believe this approach in the days before UNEA 5.2 would ensure we could have extra time to consider this issue while remaining within our mandate under UNGA Resolution 73333 and ensuring both the opportunity to have the valuable discussions called for today and to reach a successful conclusion on this matter, which is what we all desire. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. So on that positive note, and of course, we will count on the legal advisors' suggestions and good advice as usual. But I think we are concluding on a very positive tone with agreement on OP5. We will continue our consultations tomorrow at 9 a.m. Nairobi time. And before I conclude, I understand that our executive director wishes to say a few words. Is that correct, Mr. Laguna?
Yes, very brief, but just to inform delegates before we invite executive director that the meeting tomorrow will resume in the GoTo platform as we did. We will share the link and we will meet you there. Go to webinar, and the plenary that you have convened here at 2 will continue as today with the links that we will circulate. And now we can see here a wonderful executive director and also recognized deputy executive director who has been also very patient in leading the secretariat here. Inger.
Look, I do not want to stand between you, the curfew, and your cars, only to say a huge thank you. Today, under your able leadership and your incredible stamina and the strong goodwill of all the distinguished delegates, you have had 2 resolutions agreed. I'm deeply grateful, and I see so much progress on the 3rd. So let me close right here with a warm thank you for the day. I hope everybody gets home safely. Thank you very much, and back over to you.
Thank you, Edie. Joyce, would you like to say anything? Joyce?
Just press the button.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you, Chair. I think I will just echo Inga's words by saying asante sana since we're here in Nairobi, and very special thanks to UNEP staff who have actually done a lot of heavy lifting to support member states. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I believe we have concluded our evening's consultations. Thank you, everyone, for your constructive spirit. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Nairobi time, we'll reconvene in informal setting, and at hopefully we'll conclude by noon. And at 2 p.m. sharp, we will begin the final plenary of this OECPR. Please bear in mind that we will necessarily need to conclude by 4 p.m. as we have a joint bureau meeting at that time involving many of us. With that, I greatly appreciate all your help, all your support. I would like to apologize for any delays that may have occurred, but I think we have made good progress, as Inga has just said. So thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening. Let's continue the work tomorrow. Bye-bye. The meeting is adjourned.